Tatalakayin natin sa videong ito ang mga paraan ng paggamit ng CVIF Dynamic Learning Program o DLP sa tatlong konteksto. Una, kung ang mga guro at mag-aaral ay may device at internet. Ikalawa, kung mayroon silang device ngunit limited lang ang internet. At ikatlo ay kung walang access sa device at internet. Kung may device at internet connection ang guro at ang estudyante. Step 1. Ipapadala ni teacher ang learning activity sheet kada linggo sa mag-aaral gamit ang email o Facebook Messenger o iba pang online platform gaya ng Google Classroom o Microsoft Teams. Step 2. Kokopyahin ng mag-aaral ang natanggap na learning activity sheet sa isang blank sheet of paper. Uunawain ang lesson for the day at sasagutang mag-isa ang required exercises. Ito ay dapat matapos ng mag-aaral sa loob ng takdang oras na nakalaan para sa subject na iyon. Step 3. Kukunan ng litrato ng mag-aaral ang natapos na learning activity sheet at ipapadala ito pabalik kay teacher gamit ang email o Facebook Messenger o iba pang online platform gaya ng Google Classroom o Microsoft Teams. Ang hard copies ng learning activity sheets na natapos ay dapat i-compile ng mag-aaral sa isang folder kada subject. Step 4. Kapag natanggap na ni teacher ang natapos na learning activity sheet, maaari na siyang mag-online discussion sa mga mag-aaral gamit ang Facebook o Zoom o iba pang online platforms upang i-process ang lesson na natutunan ng mga mag-aaral ng mag-isa. Kung may device pero limited ang internet connection ng mga guro at ng mga estudyante, ang ibig sabihin ng limited internet connection ay gumagamit ng mobile data kaya't di maaari ang full online classes. Step 1. Itatype ng teacher ang learning activity para sa Facebook Messenger at ipapadala ito sa mag-aaral. Sa paraang ito ay hindi mababawasan ang load ng teacher at mag-aaral. Step 2. Kokopyahin ng mag-aaral ang natanggap na learning activity sa isang blank sheet of paper. Uunawain ang lesson for the day at sasagutang mag-isa ang required exercises. Ito ay dapat matapos ng mag-aaral sa loob ng takdang oras na nakalaan para sa subject na iyon. Step 3. Itatype ng mag-aaral ang mga sagot sa exercises sa Facebook Messenger at ipapadala kay teacher. Ang hard copies ng learning activity sheets na natapos ay dapat i-compile ng mag-aaral sa isang folder kada subject. Step 4. Kapag natanggap na ni teacher ang sagot sa mga exercises para sa nakatakdang learning activity, maaari siyang mag-discuss sa mag-aaral gamit pa rin ang Facebook Messenger. Kung walang device at internet connection, Step 1. Ipiprint ng teacher ang mga learning activity sheets para sa isang linggo at ipapadala ang hard copy sa mag-aaral. Ito ay maaaring kunin ng mga magulang sa paaralan o di kaya sa tulong ng barangay ay ide-deliver ito sa kanilang bahay. Step 2. Kokopyahin ng mag-aaral ang natanggap na learning activity sa isang blank sheet of paper. Uunawain ang lesson for the day at sasagutang mag-isa ang required exercises. Ito ay dapat matapos ng mag-aaral sa loob ng takdang oras na nakalaan para sa subject na iyon. Step 3. Iko-compile ng mag-aaral ang mga natapos na learning activity sheets sa isang folder kada subject. Step 4. Sa tulong ng mga magulang o ng barangay, ibabalik sa teacher Kada linggo, ang mga natapos na learning activity sheets ng mag-aaral at papalitan ito ng mga bagong learning activity sheets para sa susunod na linggo. Kahit walang teacher intervention, may matututunan ang mag-aaral basta't ginagawa niya ang mga learning activities na nakatakda. Ang CVIF Dynamic Learning Program o DLP ay maaaring gamiting pamamaraan ng pagtuturo kung may device at internet, kung may device pero limited ang internet, at kahit walang device o internet. Para sa karagdagang impormasyon sa CVIF Dynamic Learning Program, bisitahin lamang ang dlp.ph na website o hanapin lang ang Dynamic Learning Program sa Facebook o magpadala ng email sa learnsmart@smart.com.ph.
The CVIF Dynamic Learning Program is a proven effective teaching strategy specifically designed to work around the socio-economic challenges of the country, such as large classes, lack of qualified teachers, budget limitations, as well as disasters and emergency situations. A Learn Smart program of wireless services provider Smart Communications Inc. and supported by PLDT Smart Foundation for over a decade, CVIF-DLP was endorsed by the Department of Education this 2020 as a flexible learning option in the new normal. Developed by Ramon Magsaysay awardees and world-renowned theoretical physicists Dr. Christopher C. Bernido and Dr. Maria Victoria Carpio Bernido of the Central Visayan Institute Foundation in Hagna, Bohol. CVIF-DLP requires minimal teacher intervention as it trains students to be independent learners.
We've been asked about the future of education. It has to be somewhere in between the purely online and the traditional way of teaching. There's a sweet spot in between. That's exactly where the CVIF Dynamic Learning Program is located.
CVIF-DLP's main instructional tools are the well-designed Learning Activity Sheets or LAS. They present bite-sized lessons with practice activities that slowly progress. The concept notes and exercises are all handwritten by the students. These learning activity sheets are then compiled to make up the students' portfolio.
It's very important to focus on the learning activity sheets, the preparation, the dissemination, and the accomplishment of the learning activity sheets by the students. This forms the core of the learning process, and the students will be learning basically independently when they do the LAS.
Since its implementation in 2002, CVIF-DLP schools have noted improvements in students' academic performance and study habits, producing quality graduates along the years. This year, more schools are experiencing the benefits of this teaching strategy from the teachers, students, parents, and communities.
To those who have started to implement the CVIF-DLP, welcome to the CVIF-DLP family. Our goal is not just to be happy as administrators, not just to be happy as teachers, but to make sure that our learners achieve high learner outcomes with no learner left behind.
I maintain that for the foreseeable future, the CVIF DLP is the way to go for the 21st century.
Tatalakayin natin sa
Good morning po sa lahat ng participants natin at mga guests. Welcome to our CVIF Dynamic Learning Program event for the onboarding of our teachers to a crisis-resilient pedagogy. We will begin the program shortly. The assembly will officially start in a few minutes. Maraming salamat po.
PLDT in Smart Communities is the company's corporate shared value program that delivers positive impact to the communities we serve, bridging the digital divide so Filipinos can live a fuller life through technology. With Malasakit as our strength, we strive to foster collaboration and unity across diverse communities, enabling meaningful connections to ensure that no one is left behind. It is this profound sense of malasakit that propels us to go the extra mile to ensure the safety and connectivity of our fellow citizens amidst disasters and emergencies.
Love is a word that you don't often use in a corporate setting. But each time you give a ligtas kit to those communities, you give the gift of love. And you help save those lives, you help those people. When you go to sleep at night, you can just rest assured that those people are leading more secure, safer lives because of you.
We help create a safe and smart Philippines by equipping communities with vital disaster preparedness skills, communications aid to bridge connections among families, and much-needed relief to those in need. In the face of widening gaps in education, Malasakit moves us to leverage our technology and innovations to narrow the educational divide. We equip learners, even in underserved communities, with access to transformative digital resources, inclusive educational content, and technopreneurship to help foster a landscape where no learner is left behind.
The CVIF kits served its purpose in improving the teaching and learning processes in those schools who have benefited from the CVIF kits.
When marginalized communities struggle to make ends meet, Malasakit compels us to harness the power of technology to help bolster their livelihood opportunities. We usher communities into the digital knowledge and economy by upskilling them on digital entrepreneurship and e-commerce, thereby expanding their economic horizon.
Back then, we are just thinking about planting seeds of knowledge on digital agriculture. Little did we know that DFP will become a tree of possibilities in the advancement of the entire agriculture and fisheries sector. Perhaps this is a very good testament of a partnership between private and public sector.
In the face of increasing cyber threats amid an always-on and always-connected society, Malasakit drives us to create safe spaces online, nurturing growth and protecting the vulnerable. We advocate for internet safety, mental well-being, and online child protection through policy, technology, awareness, and community engagements to ensure that Filipinos, especially the youth, have a safe and secure digital experience.
Our work is not yet over. We need to approach this problem with all actors working together to ensure a safe digital environment where all children enjoy the full benefits of the digital economy, free from harm and from danger.
Our ethos of inclusion compels us to address the diverse needs of all segments of society. Malasakit urges us to use technology in empowering indigenous cultural communities, women, people with disabilities, the elderly, and religious minorities through strategic partnerships and deploying tailored digital initiatives which foster holistic well-being and societal integration.
Joint technology-based inclusion program for our indigenous peoples cannot be overstated. These programs are instrumental in leveling the playing field and fostering a more inclusive society. Together, we can create a future where every individual has equal access to success and prosperity.
At the heart of PLDT and SMART lies a commitment to inspire innovation and cultivate meaningful connections that transcend generations. We remain steadfast in our pursuit of building a better and smarter world where every Filipino can thrive and contribute towards a brighter and purpose-filled tomorrow for all.
Again po, for our attendees on Zoom, we invite you to please turn your videos on, but keep your mics on mute while the program is ongoing. During the Q&A, kindly check the raise hand button and wait for the host to acknowledge you. And you may utilize the
Recording
chat
stopped.
box for any clarifications or questions. Meanwhile, for our attendees who are tuned in via DepEd Philippines Facebook page and YouTube channel, pwede po kayo mag-type ng questions dyan sa comments page natin. Okay, umpisahan na po natin. We request everyone to rise and observe a few minutes of silence for our prayer to be followed by the Philippine National Anthem.
O God, the creator of the heavens and the universe, you are worthy of our praises. In you alone we pray and submit ourselves, for we are nothing without you. We humbly ask for your forgiveness and mercy. Dear Lord, we gather here today with the intent of doing good in thy name. Guide us to the right path. May our efforts be blessed with insight, understanding, wisdom, and respect for all. May our deep faith in you give us strength to act honestly and well in all matters before us. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Bayang magiliw, perlas ng silanganan, hanap ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay.
Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting. Sa manlulupi, di ka pasisingil.
Sa dagat ang tulong, sa simoy at sa langit mong lugaw. May dilag ang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal.
Ang islap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdidingding.
Ang bituin at araw na kailan pa may di magdidiin.
Tumarang araw ng buwan, sila, tuloy ay langit sa Pinoy. Ang ligaya na may marami.
Mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Magandang araw po. Good day, everyone. My name is David Rioferio, and I'll be your host for today. I've always believed that education has the greatest potential to change someone's life, and I know you all agree with me when I say that learning is a gift that keeps on giving. Before we roll up our sleeves and get down to business, allow me to extend a warm welcome to our partners and special guests who are joining us on Zoom and those who are tuning in via live stream on DepEd Philippines Facebook page and YouTube channel. This live streaming is also being shared on PLDT and Smart Communities Facebook page. Grateful po kami ngayong araw na ito to be joined by our hardworking teachers. Maraming salamat po. And DepEd officials from various regions in the country. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Kung kayo po yung magkakatabi, pakisabi naman, hoy, good morning. Welcome sa ating event ngayon. On behalf of the CVIF-DLP team, thank you for joining the CVIF Dynamic Learning Program Onboarding of Teachers to a Crisis-Resilient Teaching Pedagogy. Yung mga kayang mag-chat, kayang sumigaw. Crisis-Resilient Teaching Pedagogy. Ito daw po yung CVIF Dynamic Learning Program. The past few weeks have undoubtedly been challenging. Meron tayong severe Tropical Storm Kristine, a testament to our nature's power. Affected millions of lives across the nation, but amidst diversity, nakita po natin yung bayanihan. We witnessed the resilience of the human spirit. We saw how communities came together to help each other. The recent challenges have pushed us to be innovative and resilient, just as severe Tropical Storm Kristine forced us to find new ways to connect. We must adapt and evolve. I want to say adapt and evolve our teaching approaches to keep our students engaged and learning. As we come together to ensure that there is no learner left behind, let's get to know a teaching strategy called CVIF Dynamic Learning Program that has already been proven to be crisis and even pandemic resilient. Exciting, Later, we will hear from our longtime DLP ambassadors on what is it like to implement CVIF DLP in schools. They will also share us lessons learned from their own experience with CVIF DLP that can help you in your own implementation of this teaching strategy. We will also get to know more about one of its important components called Learning Activity Sheets. Paulit-ulit po tayo dyan mamaya. LAS or Learning Activity Sheets. which helps simplify complex topics and allow students to learn independently with minimal teacher intervention. Huwag na po nating pahabain. Without further ado, let's get the ball rolling. To formally welcome us, we call on, of course, our dear Assistant Secretary from the Department of Education.
Yeah, good morning or good afternoon po sa lahat ng ating pong mga participants for today's activity that will focus on our orientation on the use of our DLP, particularly yung ating pong learner activity sheets sa lahat po ng mga regions that were affected by the recent Typhoon Kristine. But before we proceed to that activity, we would like to thank our longtime partner in education, Smart PLDT, and of course our partners, our ambassadors from the implementing schools of the dynamic learning program, particularly Dr. Chris Bernido, who started the dynamic learning program. So this orientation will give us more information on how we can adapt the learn activity sheets that will be used by our schools, either in terms of the makeup classes that they will be conducting, so that we will be able to compensate yung ating pong mga lost class hours because of the suspension of classes due to the typhoon. Pangalawa, we also would like to see how we can use the dynamic learning program, learn activity sheets, kung ang ating pong mga mag-aaral ay hindi pa po makakabalik sa kanilang mga paaralan. So, malalaman natin kung paano ang mga schools na ito ay na gumamit ng DLP ay nagamit itong activity sheets na ito habang ang mga bata ay nasa kanilang mga tahanan. Pangatlo, we would like to also explore the possibility of using the dynamic learning program learn activity sheets in terms of creating a more creative space inside our classrooms, a way of innovating the way we deliver instruction. So ito pong mga paraan na ito ay tinitingnan natin upang sa ganon ay makahanap tayo ng mga solusyon upang matugunan natin yung possible learning loss again after the COVID. And now we are experiencing a lot of class suspensions because of the typhoons. In fact, after Kristine, we are again bracing ourselves for another typhoon. At seemingly, ito na po yung ating mga aasahan sa mga darating na panahon. Kaya maganda na tayo po ay matuto mula po sa ating mga partners at maibahagi nila sa atin kung paano nila nagamit ito sa iba't ibang pamamaraan. So again, we'd like to welcome our participants. We'd like to thank our regional directors of Regions 1, 2, 3, the Cordillera Autonomous Region, Calabarzon, and Region 5, Bicol. So for giving us the opportunity to be able to share this with you, our dear teachers, our dear members of the DepEd family in the affected regions of Typhoon Kristine, to share with you the information on how we can help our schools recover from a possible learning loss due to the class suspensions. So we'd like to thank also, of course, our secretary, our good secretary, Sec Sani Angara, for really pushing for the implementation of the DLP and really supporting us and the schools na tayo po ay makatugon dito sa sunod-sunod na mga pangyayari. Hindi lamang sa pamamagitan ng alternative delivery mode, but of course, the support that we are getting from the leadership and the administration of Seksani na tugunan yung mga napinsala ng mga classrooms, no, at yung mapalitan yung mga kagamitan sa paaralan na nasalanta o nasira dahil sa bagyo at pagbaha. So muli, we'd like to welcome and thank you despite of the busy times and of course the situation that you are in right now in the most affected areas. You have time to join us and learn. So maraming salamat po sa inyong pakikisa, at ito po ay bagamat kalahating araw lang po ito natin gagawin, at pilitin po natin na sa loob ng kalahating araw ay marami po tayong malaman at matutunan. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you very much, ASEC Malcolm Garma for Field Operations of the Department of Education. Tulad ng sinabi niya, no, napaka-importante from Secretary Sani Angara na dapat damang-dama ng mga teachers natin, yung leadership ng Department of Education, yung tulong ng gobyerno para sa ating mga kabataan. Kaya ito po, nagsasama-sama tayo ngayon para sa CVIF-DLP para pagbutihin yung ating mga pag-aaral. Thank you, ASEC Malcolm Garma. At this point, we would like to ito po, ipapakilala namin sa inyo ang founder ng CVIF-DLP, Theoretical Physicist, and Ramon Magsaysay Awardee for Education, Dr. Christopher C. Bernido. Sir Chris?
Para po sa mga kasamahan ko sa edukasyon, magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Ang Pilipinas po ay nadadaanan ng mga 18 to 20 typhoons bawat taon, at ang Pilipinas ay nasa tinatawag na Pacific Ring of Fire. Marami pong earthquakes, kaya marami pong nararamdaman natin at na-experience na mga suspension of classes, learning loss every year. Kaya dapat matugunan po ito at mabigyan ng solusyon. At sa tingin ko po ay meron kaming maidudulot na solusyon para dito sa continuous suspension of classes every year na tinatawag na CVIF Dynamic Learning Program. Ang CVIF po ay nagkakahulugang Central Visayan Institute Foundation, kung saan nanggaling itong programa na ito. 22 years na po itong CVIF Dynamic Learning Program or DLP, at more than 1,000 schools in the Philippines have implemented the DLP in the elementary, high school, at saka college level. Bakit po ito maganda para sa mga kapag may mga typhoons, baha, o earthquake? Subok na po itong CVIF-DLP, kagaya nung nakaraang Zamboanga siege, nung nagkaroon ng giyera sa Zamboanga ng 2 linggo. Yung mga DLP implementing schools po ay tuloy-tuloy ang kanilang pag-aaral kahit na close down o walang pasok po. Ganun na rin po ang mga typhoons o baha na dumaan sa Mindanao. Nababaha yung mga bahay ng mga teachers, pero tuloy-tuloy ang pag-aaral ng mga bata. Dahil po ang pinaka-buod ng DLP ay independent learning. Minimal po ang teacher intervention, at ang programa ay naka-address from the challenged learners all the way to the bright learners. Ang heart and soul po ng DLP ay yung tinatawag na Learning Activity Sheets or LAS na tinatawag natin. Ito po ay isang pahina lang, 1 page, 1 concept, isang konsepto, isang pahina, bite size, at there are several LAS step by step to reach a learning competency na gusto ng DepEd. So, ang importante lang po sa LAS na pag nakaabot ito sa mga kabataan kahit nasa bahay sila, ay kanilang kokopyahin. This has to be copied by hand, handwritten in their own by hand, to ensure that there is deep learning going on when going through the LAS. At itong mga LAS na to, hinatid at binabalik normally once a week kahit walang pasok. Gaya ng naalala ko, ang Davao Christian High School na nag-implement ng DLP since 2005. Nung nagkaroon ng pandemic, nung 2020, nag-text sa akin po yung head ng Davao Christian High School. Sabi nila, maraming salamat po at dahil sa DLP, we had a smooth transition to the pandemic and the lockdown. So, subok na po itong DLP at i-explain during the orientation, may mag-explain po sa inyo step by step kung paano ipapaabot yung LAS sa mga kabataan. Importante lang po na dapat kopyahin ito ng mga bata at itong accomplished LAS ibabalik sa mga teachers. Ang role po ng mga teachers this time, hindi na po yung pagle-lecture, kundi sa assessment na po ng LAS. So, ako po yung nagagalak at nakadalo kayo sa orientation na to na ginawa ng Smart Communications. Maraming salamat po sa Smart Communications. Good luck po. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chris. He, together with his wife, the late Dr. Maria Victoria Carpio Bernido, who was also a theoretical physicist and a Ramon Magsaysay Awardee for Education, co-founded CVIF Dynamic Learning Program. At this point, we would like to invite one of our longtime partners of CVIF-DLP. Their history of support to this teaching strategy dates back noon pa pong 2010, and they started to help in the capacity building of our teachers and schools who are interested to also adopt the said program. Ito po ay sa pamamagitan ng partnerships with PLDT and Smart Communications Inc. CVIF-DLP has broadened its reach to Indigenous Peoples Education, or IPED, Arabic Language and Islamic Values Education, or ALIVE, Alternative Learning System, ALS, and even in Special Needs Education, or SNED. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Stephanie Orlino, AVP and Head of Stakeholder Management Team of PLDT and Smart.
Thank you, David. Sa lahat ng nakikinig ngayong umaga sa DepEd Philippines Facebook page at YouTube channel, at sa aming mga followers sa PLDT and Smart Communities FB, magandang umaga. On behalf of PLDT and Smart, I would like to thank the Department of Education for supporting the expansion of the CVIF Dynamic Learning Program, na isang innovative and disaster-resilient strategy of teaching that improves learners' outcomes despite yung napakarami nating mga challenges and disruptions na hinaharap ng ating mga paaralan. Kami po sa PLDT at Smart ay 14 years nang sinusuportahan ang DLP. Mula pa nung magawaran si Dr. Chris Bernido at ang late Dr. Marivic Carpio Bernido ng Ramon Magsaysay Award in Education in 2010, because of its proven transformative power in education. This pedagogy promotes independent student learning na napakamahalaga sa STEM. It is low budget, it works in face-to-face, hybrid, or kahit na distance learning. It can work in online, radio-based, TV, and even modular instructions. It is applicable to all levels. It caters to all learners and ensures that authentic teaching and learning continues despite disruptions, katulad nga nitong dulot ng severe Tropical Storm Kristine. Ang impact ng recent storm has once again underscored yung need na magtrabaho tayo sama-sama to be able to support our teachers and students and to find innovative approaches to stave off yung nabanggit nga ni Asek Garma kanino na further learning losses. To date, meron na po tayong mahigit sa 1,000 mga paaralan na nag-implement na ng Dynamic Learning Program at nakapag-train na rin po kami ng over 16,000 teachers all over the country. So we hope that the program will also bring much needed relief and support sa mga teachers natin na narito today who have been affected by the storm, at doon din sa mga ibang regions natin na naka-tune in today. Again, thank you to the Department of Education for the opportunity to provide assistance. I affirm our long-time commitment to support the department in providing access to inclusive and quality education for all. Thank you as well to our DLP ambassadors for their time and expertise at kanilang passion at advocacy to promote the dynamic learning program. We at PLDT and SMART will be here to work with you every step of the way to help ensure that no learner is left behind. Thank you, and again, good morning.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Steph. Maraming salamat po. At this point, we head on to our discussions. We would like to initially invite our attendees on Zoom. Ito po, mag-picture muna tayo, no? To kindly turn on your cameras as we document today's activity via a photo op. Ladies and gentlemen, our technical team will be capturing this moment, so kindly ensure that your cameras are turned on. As for our attendees who are tuned in on our FB and YouTube Live, we hope you can also share your photos. Please take a groovy with your co-teachers and post them on the comment section and let us know where you are viewing
Recording
this activity.
stopped. Recording in progress.
Mag-picture muna tayo.
Alright, hold the beautiful smiles. One more. Page 2. See. Smile. 1, 2, 3. Page 3. Smile. Alright, we're good. Thank you so much.
Okay, maraming salamat po sa ating lahat. At this point, let's all get to know what CVIF-DLP or CVIF Dynamic Learning Program is. To help us understand how this teaching strategy helps develop independent learners, let's welcome Amparo H. Tuazon, professor from the University of the East in Manila. Their school has been implementing DLP for 12 years. Ampi.
Thank you po, Sir David. So bago po tayo pumunta sa ating talakayan tungkol sa CVIF, gusto ko munang batiin ng ating mga kababayan na napakalapit po sa aking puso sapagkat yung ating pong audience for today ay nanggaling pa sa Region 1 hanggang Region 5 in ZAR or CAR. So ako po ay isang Ilocana, so babatiin ko po kayo sa ating dialekto na imbag nga aldaw, kada kayo amin, gagayem, ken, kakabsat. And also malapit din sa akin yung mga taga Bicol because ang father ko po ay nanggaling din sa Bicol, ipinanganak sa Bicol. So babatiin ko rin po kayo sa ating dialekto, marhay nga na aldaw sa Indogabos. At syempre, yung mga taga Central Luzon, gusto ko rin po kayong i-shout out at batiin. Yung nasa Pampanga, particularly, no? Maya, paaba, ke kayo. So, magandang araw po sa ating lahat. Okay. So, today, we are so blessed po, no? We are so blessed that we are here to understand or to deeply understand what DLP, CVIF-DLP is all about. So hindi po ito isang pagkakataon lamang, kundi isa itong itinadhana or tinakda para mas maunawaan natin ang kahalagahan ng ating pong i-apply na program dahil nga po sa nagdaang bagyo. So we will discuss the rationale and framework of the CVIF-DLP Dynamic Learning Program, and we will explore the this alternative mode of instruction given the impact of severe Tropical Storm Kristine. So paano po ba to makakatulong sa atin? So of course, gusto ko munang ipakilala sa inyo yung proponent po ng program na to na kanina pa po nababanggit. Walang iba, behind this program are Dr. Marivic and Dr. Christopher Bernido. Ano po yung kagandahan sa programa na ito at sa mag-asawa na ito? sila po mismo yung nakakaalam ng ating mga problema because they are what? Filipinos, no? They are internationally recognized physicists and recipients of the Ramon Magsaysay Award in 2010. So bukod doon, sila po mismo na i-apply nila sa kanilang paaralan sa Hagna Bohol, sa Central Visayan Institute Foundation sa Hagna Bohol, yung programa po na ito. So ibig sabihin, ito po ay tested na, proven na. Okay. So, next slide. Okay. So what compelled this couple to develop and implement this program? Bakit po nila naisip na gawin ang mga ang programa na CVIF-DLP? Sige po, next, paki-click na lang, Miss. Ayan. Okay, so makikita niyo po dito yung mga problema. Ano-ano yung mga naging problema? That was 2002 pa po, no? Lack of textbook, lack of laboratory equipment, lack of ICT equipment, lack of qualified teachers, large classes, wide range of students, poor English proficiency. So all of these po are socio-economic problems in our Philippine educational system. So ano pa po yung naging dahilan? Bakit kailangan nilang gawin at implemento the dire state of science and math education in our country? So nakita niyo po, no, 22 years ago, ito na po yung problem natin. Ano yung problem natin? According to CHED Bulletin in 2004 and 2005, only 18% of our students enrolled in natural science and only 14% of engineering enrollees graduate in the respective fields. Ano pa? Only around 20% po of Philippine engineering graduates meet international quality standards. And yung mas nakakalungkot po dito, nagra-rank po tayo below, no? Pagdating sa mga international exams. Sige, next slide po. So what is CVIF-DLP? The CVIF-DLP has been implemented po since 2002. So it combines traditional and contemporary educational theories to provide an adaptable and effective learning environment. So ano yung goal po natin? To help, no, a wide variety of students, no, from challenged learners, average, and of course, yung mga tinatawag natin na mga brilliant. Okay. Sige. So what is the dynamic learning program? So gusto po namin na ipaalala sa inyo that the dynamic learning program is a teaching method. Hindi po ito curriculum. So right now, ang ina-apply po natin ay yung matatag curriculum. So it employs a scientific, process-driven approach where students engage in reading, writing, understanding, applying, analyzing, and evaluating. Ano pa po? It is compatible with even special science and math curriculum or in science schools. What else? Ano pa po yung mga makikita natin na key features niya? Bakit po sinasabi siya na it uses modern pedagogies? Because it is individualized po, no? A scientific approach induced to learning based on modern and classical teaching strategies in real classroom situation. And also, distance. Applicable din po siya for distance education because you can take the task completely kahit po nasaan kayo. Nasa bahay ka man or nasa eskwelahan ka man, ibig sabihin, pwedeng-pwede, kayang matuto ng ating mga mag-aaral. And also, it was developed using a mixed traditional methods, individualized instruction, distance education, Montessori philosophy of neuroscience. So, ibig sabihin, yung ating mga mag-aaral ay makakagawa, they can work, they can accomplish their task independently. Ano pa po yung kagandahan sa program na ito? It was designed to improve student learning kahit po nagkaroon tayo ng pandemic, kahit nagkaroon tayo ng mga suspension of classes. At ang maganda po dito, it is what? A low budget. Imagine, ngayon, alam po natin, no? Nagkaroon ng bagyo, nawala lahat ng ating mga libro, nawala yung ating mga module. So ano ang magiging kapalit para maturuan natin yung ating mga estudyante? At ang pinakamaganda po rito, dahil nga nasa mga kanya-kanya silang bahay or some of them ay nakabalik na po sa eskwelahan, no? We can promote independent student learning, less minimal intervention po ng mga teacher. So kahit ang mga teacher hindi nila kasama, no, makakagawa pa rin po sila ng kanilang learning activity sheets. Sige po, next slide. Okay. So, the Central Visayan Institute Foundation Dynamic Learning Program follows a non-traditional approach. So gusto ko pong ipaliwanag sa inyo, before, ang ginagawa po natin, di ba, pag nasa loob tayo ng classroom, so mas maraming time ang mga teacher na magturo. Di po ba? Most of the time, tayo yung nandun, nagsasalita sa gitna, nagpapaliwanag, kung ano yung ating leksyon or aralin sa araw na to. So that is the traditional one. So this time, sa DLP po, hindi ganon. So ibig sabihin, 20% lang po kung nandun sa classroom si teacher, no? 20% of the time lang po siyang magtuturo and 80% of the time ay ibibigay po natin sa ating mga estudyante para gawin yung kanilang learning activity sheet. So ano po yung maganda dito sa programa na DLP? So it promotes independent student learning. And also, ilan po ba yung mga estudyante natin ngayon per classroom? No? So ang maganda dito, kahit malaking bilang ang mga estudyante natin, we can still teach them, we can still give them, no, quality education. Bakit? Kasi nga individualized. Individualized po yung pagtuturo natin sa ating mga estudyante using the learning activity sheet. Less dependent on the abilities of the teacher, addresses entire spectrum of students. Ibig sabihin po nun, kahit na siya ay challenge learner, kahit na po siya ay average and brilliant, no? Basta well-designed po yung ating ginawa na mga learning activity sheet, kayang-kaya pong sagutan ng ating mga mag-aaral. At ang pinaka-importante po rito, it develops critical thinking and confidence among our students. Sige po, next slide. Okay, so ano yung challenge po? No, ano yung challenge sa atin ng Central Visayan Institute? How do you enable a child to develop to his fullest potential? So sabi ko nga sa ginagawa natin, every day, ang gusto talaga natin, ang goal natin, matuto ang estudyante, marami siyang malaman at i-apply niya sa kanyang buhay kung ano po yung natututunan niya sa araw na yon. Okay. So, we are shifting from teacher-induced learning to process-induced learning. Sige po, next slide po. Because, ayan, we would like to encourage our students to take an active role in their educational journey. So, ibig sabihin kung dati, tayo yung pinanggagalingan, tayo yung pinagmumulan ng kaalaman, karunungan, parang nakadepende lahat kay teacher, no? This time, ibibigay po natin sa ating mismong mga estudyante. We will teach them how to learn independently, how to be accountable on their own learning. Sige po, next slide po. Yan. So dito, sabi ko nga kanina, the common practice, eto tayo, lahat ginagawa. Lecture, lecture, lecture. Most of the time, si teacher yung nagsasalita. Ano ginagawa ng mga estudyante? Nakikinig. Or maybe some of them, hindi pa nga nakikinig. Maybe nagsi-cellphone. Maybe yung iba natutulog. No? Bakit? Kasi wala silang nagagawa or ginagawa. Simply, they are just what? Mere listener. Nakikinig lang po sila. But this time, with the dynamic learning program, hindi na ganon, no? Inverted na po siya. Bakit? 20% na lang ng time ang ibibigay ni teacher para sa kanyang pag-clarify ng mga concepts, no? At yung 80% ng time ay ibibigay niya para sa mga mag-aaral, para sila mismo, no? Mag-explore ano ba yung materials na binigay ng teacher. Okay. So, yan. Sige po. Next slide po. Ayan. Paano natin siya? Ayan. So, paano natin gagawin yung pagtuturo? So, this is facilitated by a well-prepared learning activity. Nung kami po sa UE, no, bago lang kami, ay kami po mismo ang gumawa. No? Kami yung gumawa because we were trained how to create, how to design an LAS. But this time, ang good news po sa inyo, no, ay meron na po kayong naka-ready. Of course, later malalaman po na atin paano po ninyo makukuha yung mga materials na yan. Okay. Sige po, next slide. Ayan. A new mindset, no, for the teachers ay the teachers will no longer teach. Ibig sabihin ba, ma'am, hindi ba magtuturo ang teacher? Hindi po ganon ang dito, no? Ang ibig sabihin. Kundi, the duty of the teacher is to enable the students to learn. So, paanong gagawin? We will create an environment where students can actively engage with the materials. Ito nga po yun. Kung nasa loob siya ng classroom, no? Paano tayo magtuturo sa pamamagitan ng pagsagot, pagbasa, pagsagot, pagsusulat, pagbasa ng kanilang learning activity sheet. I-explore nila, uunawain nila, iintindihin po nila yung well-designed LAS na ginawa ng isang teacher. Okay, sige po. Ayan. So, ano yung explanation? Ano yung paliwanag? Bakit, ma'am, binibigyan po? Bakit binibigyan natin ng learning activity sheet yung mga bata? And na-mention na po kanina ni Dr. Bernido, we will give only one learning activity sheets. Bakit one learning activity sheets lang? Because we believe that learning, according to pedagogy, learning by small chunks enhances absorption. Hindi po katulad, di po ba napansin nyo kapag libro ang binibigay nyo, binabasa po ba ng mga estudyante? Yung modules po nila na napakakapal o binabasa po ba ng mga estudyante? So this time, isa-isa lang na page. So every student shall copy by hand all parts of the given activity starting from the title up to the exercises. Bakit, teacher? Because according to here, ano yung pedagogical basis natin? The visual plus psychomotor combination enhances memory retention. Sige po, next slide po. Ayan. So, isang activity sheet lang po ang ibibigay natin ha per student. Okay. So, ayan. So, ito po yung example. Sige, ma'am. Ito po yung example ng activity sheet nila. Ayan. So, ito po kinuha po namin sa Central Visayan Institute. Ito po mismo yung ginagawa nila. So, meron po tayo dito type of activity, concept notes, drills, laboratory, drawing, okay, formal, informal, and ito po yung kanyang heading. We have here the activity title, which encapsulate the main idea to be learned, the learning targets, So, saan manggagaling yung learning target? So, syempre, ipapattern din po natin to sa curriculum guide natin. And also, we have here the reference and containing the title and the author of the book kung saan po natin siya kinuha. Sige, ma'am. Next slide po. Ayan. So, this one is the example of the activity sheet. Ayan. So, ano po yung body niya? No? Ano yung nilalaman ng activity sheet na ibibigay natin sa mga estudyante? We have here the concept notes. No? Sabi natin, pag gumawa tayo ng concept notes, alalahanin natin, no? Ang mga estudyante lang ang mauunang sumagot. Wala po munang intervention yung ating mga guro. Wala munang explanation. No introductory lesson or lecture. And then, ano pa pong kasama niya sa body? We have here the examples and the illustration, the questions and problems. So lahat po yan nasa isang page lang po yan. No? Sige po, next slide po. Ayan. So bakit? Ano ba yung rationale? Bakit kailangan, yan. No? Yan muna, Miss Leslie. So bakit kailangan nating gawin yung pagtuturo natin sa pamamagitan lang ng isang learning activity sheet? Because we believe po, by using this strategy or teaching method, no, we can promote learning by doing. We can promote discovery approach. Isipin niyo po, no, hindi na natin sila pupwersahin na magbasa. Hindi na natin sila pupwersahin na di ba po, usually sinasabi natin, okay, bring out your books, read this and read that. Because yun mismo, no, LAS, no, na ibibigay po sa bawat mag-aaral ay nandun na lahat. Nandun na yung concept notes, nandun na yung example, and nandun na yung exercises. So meaning, lahat po ito, learning by doing, discovery approach, solving problem on their own, and most importantly po, no, we will promote or we can promote active learning among our students. Sige po, next slide po. Yan. Anong sinasabi ng neural science? Bakit po importante yung strategy na to na ginagawa natin? So kaya pala yung mga estudyante natin, ang sabi rito, kahit po pala, no, tayo nagsasalita, tayo nakikinig, tayo ay okay? Yan. Nagsasalita, nakatingin, nakikinig. Ano ang sinasabi rito ng science? So, hindi gaanong nagpa-function yung brain natin. Hindi gaanong nagpa-function. Only a small portion lang daw ng brain natin ang gumagana. Kapag po ang bata nakatingin lang sa atin, nakikinig lang sa atin, or nagsasalita. Mas gumagana daw po yung brain natin kapag meron tayong may mga binigay tayo sa kanila na materials kung saan they will think, they will digest, no, they will copy, they will answer, lahat po nung parts nung LAS. Sige po, next slide po. So according to study, no, given in the University of California, Los Angeles, ano po yung findings dito? Those who wrote out their notes by hand. So kaya importante po, no, ano yung rationale na bakit teacher kailangan magsulat ng mga estudyante? Bakit hindi na lang sila kailangan mag-explain na lang, magsalita na lang? According to this study, those who wrote out their notes by hand had a stronger conceptual understanding, were more successful in applying and integrating the material than those who took notes with their laptops. And even as adults, di po ba, mas na-absorb, mas nagkakaroon ng retention yung mga concepts, no? Yung mga nakikita na babasa natin once na sinusulat natin, once na napapanood na, once na ginagawa natin, no? Okay, sige po, next slide. Ayan. So, maaring magsabi yung mga estudyante natin, "Ma'am, nakakapagod naman. Bakit ganon? Nagsusulat kami." This is the explanation. Writing longhand is a workout not for your wrist but for your brain. So lagi kong sinasabi sa mga estudyante ko, alam niyo ba kung meron kayong physical exercise, meron din kayong brain exercise. And what is that? Yung pagsusulat. So ibig sabihin, na-exercise yung ating brain. And of course, after gawin yung LAS, anong kailangan? So kailangan po ng in-school comprehensive student portfolio. So para saan to? So meron po tayo rito color-coded, may yellow for science, white for values. So instead of notebooks po, ito po, dito nila i-compile lahat ng kanilang mga ginawa. Activities, exam, quizzes, no? Diyan po nila lahat i-compile. Sige, next slide po. Ayan. So bakit importante itong students comprehensive portfolio? It is for sustained independent learning, proof of students learning. So wala silang notebook, yes, but they have their students comprehensive portfolios. And it provides a reliable feedback to the teacher on the students' work, development capacity, and more. So ibig sabihin, importante po na merong lalagyan lahat ng kanilang mga ginawa na mga LAS. Kahit nasa bahay sila ngayon or kahit nasa school sila, they have to have that comprehensive portfolio. Sige po, next. Ayan. So students' portfolio is a compilation of all the activity sheets accomplished by the students. It includes quizzes, exams, projects, and provide reliable feedback to the teacher. And alam niyo po ba, even sa amin, sa school namin, malalaman na kagad ng principal namin kung ano na yung lesson, ano na yung topic by merely looking at the student's portfolio. Even without invasive observation, kahit hindi niya na kailangan puntahan kami sa classroom namin para i-observe kami weekly or monthly, pag nakita na po yung student's portfolio, malalaman niya, ito, andito na pala sila sa ganitong lesson or topic. Okay, next slide po. Ayan, benefits for students of this portfolio. It monitors the actual academic achievement. Ito po yung proof sa mga parents every time they visit us sa UE. Ito po yung mga ginawa. Ito po yung work ng inyong mga anak, and also it helps slow learners in mastery and conceptualization. Of course, ang maganda po dito, no heavy notebooks to bring. So wala na po silang notebook na dadalhin. Instead, they have this expandable folder or portfolio. Sige, ma'am. Ayan. So this one po is the actual po scenario in our classroom. Ganyan po sila. Sila mismo, nakita nyo, they are accountable po sa sarili nilang work, sarili nilang portfolio. And sila mismo po talaga nag-iingat. No? So ano yung gusto nating ma-develop dito? Pagdating sa programa na to, taking responsibility for one's own learning, knowing how to work independently without close supervision, being resilient in the face of difficulties, being confident and able to investigate problems and find solutions. So these are the things we want to develop using CVIF-DLP as one of the multimodal alternative instructional delivery mode. So hindi po kami nahirapan pagdating ng pandemic. Why? Because 8 years in advance na po, nakapag-prepare na po kami ng mga materials. So ang ginawa na lang po namin, inaral namin kung paano namin siya ibibigay, i-upload sa Google Classroom. But as to the content, meron na naka-ready na po. Sige po, next slide. Ayan. So, importante po no, na makipag-collaborate po tayo sa ating mga magulang. Kaya part of this implementing this program, kailangan po may parents orientation, may students orientation. And of course, we need to have proper communication and consistent monitoring on students' progress. Sige po, next slide. Ayan. So I'd like to share you now how we began implementing the CVIF-DLP in our school. Sige po. Next slide. Ayan. So nag-start po ang University of the East no nung 2012 because of our former principal. So she was sent to the 3rd National Conference of CVIF-DLP in Naga City to explore on the CVIF-DLP. Just like you today, ito po ang ginagawa nyo, no? Iniintindi, inaalam natin ano ba ang programa na ito, na CVIF-DLP. Next po. Ayan. So, maybe this could help you po, no? Yung mga ginawa po namin, phases of implementation. Ayan. So, yung iba po dito, you can apply this po in your school. So, number 1, of course, dahil bago po itong programa na to, you have to have an orientation po with your parents, with your students, with your faculty. And also, maganda rin kung magkakaroon po kayo ng or mag-execute kayo ng parallel classes, meron po kayong tinatawag na dry run para matest kung paano nyo gagawin yung mga roles ng expert teacher and facilitator. Kung gagawin nyo po yung isang component na tinatawag na parallel classes. Sige po, next po. Ayan. So, from 2012, no, up to now, eto na po yung aming mga achievements. So nakapagpa-graduate kami ng mga mag-aaral, outstanding students, nagtatap po kami sa board exam using this dynamic learning program. Sige po, next po. At ang pinakamaganda po, mind you, isa lang po yung program namin na inadapt. Ito po yung tinatawag na CVIF Dynamic Learning Program. And salamat sa Diyos, praise God, kami po ay nagkaroon ng tinatawag na level 3 accreditation from PAASCU. So salamat po at with this program, nakakaroon kami ng ganong level. And ito po yung pinaka-latest sa amin ngayon. So kilala niyo po ba ito, dear viewers? So isa po siya sa pinadala po natin sa Paris Olympics. At ito po ay si Samantha Katantan. So ano po yung sabi niya rito? Sige, next slide po. Next slide. So paano po nakatulong sa kanya as an athlete ang dynamic learning program? So sabi po niya rito, there were times I had to skip school for weeks and even months for my competitions and trainings abroad. But DLP lessened my difficulties in catching up with the lessons I missed. So ibig sabihin, malaking bagay, malaking tulong po sa kanya yung programa na to. Kung kaya nakakapag-focus siya sa kanyang training para po dito sa kanyang sports. And salamat sa Diyos. At pinagmamalaki po namin siya na isa po siya sa pinadala natin sa Paris Olympics. Okay, and yan. Of course, I'd like to remind everyone, anuman po yung ating pinagdadaanan sa kasalukuyan, let us not become weary in doing good. We are teachers, for at the proper time, we will reap a harvest. And wag po tayo manghinawa because we can do all things through Christ who gives us strength. So, sabi nga ng DLP, dapat laging positibo. So gusto ko pong anyayahan kayo panoorin po paano i-implement ang or paano gagawin ng mga bata, paano sila magsasubmit ng kanilang learning activities sheet. Let's watch this video.
Tatalakayin natin sa videong ito ang mga paraan ng paggamit ng CVIF Dynamic Learning Program o DLP sa tatlong konteksto. Una, kung ang mga guro at mag-aaral ay may device at internet. ikalawa, kung mayroon silang device ngunit limited lang ang internet. At ikatlo ay kung walang access sa device at internet. Kung may device at internet connection ang guro at ang estudyante. Step 1. Ipapadala ni teacher ang learning activity sheet kada linggo sa mag-aaral gamit ang email o Facebook Messenger o iba pang online platform gaya ng Google Classroom o Microsoft Teams. Step 2. Kokopyahin ng mag-aaral ang natanggap na learning activity sheet sa isang blank sheet of paper. Uunawain ang lesson for the day at sasagutang mag-isa ang required exercises. Ito ay dapat matapos ng mag-aaral sa loob ng takdang oras na nakalaan para sa subject na iyon. Step 3. Kukunan ng litrato ng mag-aaral ang natapos na learning activity sheet at ipapadala ito pabalik kay teacher gamit ang email o Facebook Messenger o iba pang online platform gaya ng Google Classroom o Microsoft Teams. Ang hard copies ng learning activity sheets na natapos ay dapat i-compile ng mag-aaral sa isang folder kada subject. Step 4. Kapag natanggap na ni teacher ang natapos na learning activity sheet, maaari na siyang mag-online discussion sa mga mag-aaral gamit ang Facebook o Zoom o iba pang online platforms upang i-process ang lesson na natutunan ng mga mag-aaral ng mag-isa. Kung may device pero limited ang internet connection ng mga guro at ng mga estudyante, ang ibig sabihin ng limited internet connection ay gumagamit ng mobile data kaya't di maaari ang full online classes. Step 1. Itatype ng teacher ang learning activity para sa Facebook Messenger at ipapadala ito sa mag-aaral. Sa paraang ito ay hindi mababawasan ang load ng teacher at mag-aaral. Step 2. Kokopyahin ng mag-aaral ang natanggap na learning activity sa isang blank sheet of paper. Uunawain ang lesson for the day at sasagutang mag-isa ang required exercises. Ito ay dapat matapos ng mag-aaral sa loob ng takdang oras na nakalaan para sa subject na iyon. Step 3. Itatype ng mag-aaral ang mga sagot sa exercises sa Facebook Messenger at ipapadala kay teacher. Ang hard copies ng learning activity sheets na natapos ay dapat i-compile ng mag-aaral sa isang folder kada subject. Step 4. Kapag natanggap na ni teacher ang sagot sa mga exercises para sa nakatakdang learning activity, maaari siyang mag-discuss sa mag-aaral gamit pa rin ang Facebook Messenger. Kung walang device at internet connection, Step 1. Ipiprint ng teacher ang mga learning activity sheets para sa isang linggo at ipapadala ang hard copy sa mag-aaral. Ito ay maaaring kunin ng mga magulang sa paaralan o di kaya sa tulong ng barangay ay ide-deliver ito sa kanilang bahay. Step 2. Kokopyahin ng mag-aaral ang natanggap na learning activity sa isang blank sheet of paper. Uunawain ang lesson for the day at sasagutang mag-isa ang required exercises. Ito ay dapat matapos ng mag-aaral sa loob ng takdang oras na nakalaan para sa subject na iyon. Step 3. Iko-compile ng mag-aaral ang mga natapos na learning activity sheets sa isang folder kada subject. Step 4. Sa tulong ng mga magulang o ng barangay, ibabalik sa teacher kada linggo ang mga natapos na learning activity sheets ng mag-aaral at papalitan ito ng mga bagong learning activity sheets para sa susunod na linggo. Kahit walang teacher intervention, may matututunan ang mag-aaral basta't ginagawa niya ang mga learning activities na nakatakda. Ang CVIF Dynamic Learning Program o DLP ay maaaring gamiting pamamaraan ng pagtuturo kung may device at internet. Kung may device pero limited ang internet at kahit walang device o internet. Para sa karagdagang impormasyon sa CVIF Dynamic Learning Program, bisitahin lamang ang dlp.ph na website o hanapin lang ang Dynamic Learning Program sa Facebook o magpadala ng email sa learnsmart@smart.com.ph.
Ayun, maraming salamat po, Ma'am Amphi. That was a very insightful discussion. At this point, we'd also like to get insights from our attendees. Ito po ang inyong pagkakataon para magtanong ng mga questions, mag-post ng clarifications regarding what was discussed by Ma'am Amphi. Para po sa mga Zoom attendees natin, you may type your questions using the chat. And to our attendees on Facebook page and YouTube channel, you may type your questions on the comment section dun po sa ating live streaming. Okay, ito po, meron tayong two questions na pumasok from Zoom, Ma'am Amphi. Babasahin ko po from Miss Pinky L. Hindi ko na po banggitin yung buong apelido. Applicable po kaya ang comprehensive portfolio sa grade 1 learners? Ma'am Amphi, ang question, applicable ba sa grade 1 learners?
Yes po, Sir David. Kasi lahat naman po to nagsisimula tayo. Actually, from kinder pa nga eh. Kinder, grade 1 hanggang even sa college up to college, meron tayong ginagawa kasi wala po silang notebook. So instead, ito po, no. Pero may lines, may grid, may mga lines yung kanilang LAS na ginagamit. Tapos i-compile nila dun sa comprehensive portfolio nila.
Opo. Ma'am, ang tanong ko na bakit kailangan i-compile sa portfolio? Bakit kailangan ipunin yung mga activity sheets?
Kasi ito yung proof nung kanilang ginawa na mga activities. Ito yung proof na meron silang ginawa for the day. Kaya importante na mailalagay siya sa isang comprehensive portfolio.
Oo. At saka ma'am, yung gusto ko lang i-highlight doon po sa mga nanonood, nakikinig sa atin sa DepEd and Smart na Facebook pages and YouTube channels and also sa Zoom. We're really praying for you na sana po maayos ang inyong pagka-recover dito sa disaster na nangyari sa atin, sa pagbaha, sa pagbagyo. Kaya po magandang na-discuss ni Ma'am Amphi itong learning activity sheets kasi kumbaga kung tayo po gagamit nito, agaran nating masusolusyonan yung kakulangan halimbawa ng mga kagamitan natin. Ma'am Amphi, may tanong pa po dito from Zoom Can we have the copy of the parts of the activity sheet, please? And thanks. May sagot na rin dito kung pwede rin ba magkaroon ng kopya ng activity sheets. Yes, we will provide through DepEd. Tama ba, Ma'am Amphi? May video rin sa FB page?
Yes. Ang maganda, Sir David, provided na. Meron na po silang learning activity sheet. Meron na po.
Sige po.
Yes,
Tapos,
sa bawat subjects. Yes.
Oo, ma'am, meron din tayo nakapost sa ating Facebook page ng Dynamic Learning Program. Tama po? Ma'am Amphi?
Yes, meron na po. I think ang DepEd Common ay nakapost na doon, ida-download na lang nila. Later, i-discuss din po yan ng DepEd Sarangani. Kasi ang maganda, sila din kasi yung gumawa yung author nun, yung mga nagsulat. Coming from the DepEd din.
Sige po. Another question, where can we get the learning activity sheets? So gusto talaga. So I think readily available na to, tulad ng nabanggit ni Ma'am Amphi, readily available na po ang LAS mula po sa CVIF, yung ating partner, at saka sa DepEd Sarangani na sila po yung gumawa. And yun po, for all grade levels and all subjects. Wala po muna sa DepEd Commons, pero doon po sa ating mga iba't ibang nabanggit na air sources kanina, nandoon po ito. Okay. Ma'am Amphi, habang nag-iisip ng tanong yung mga kasamahan natin from the Department of Education, mga eskwelahan po natin, ulitin ko lang po, isang page lang, Ma'am Amphi, ang learning activity sheet. Kada araw or kada oras ng subject, tama po ba?
Kung ilan po yung subject nila, sir.
Okay.
Halimbawa, meron silang 5 na subjects.
Sa isang araw? Oo.
Sa isang araw. So, merong ibibigay na 1 page po yung bawat teacher. 1 page lang po yun ha.
Okay.
Pero hindi naman ibig sabihin na araw-araw gagawa sila. Katulad sa amin, halimbawa in a week meron kaming 2 or 3 lang because may other activities pa po silang gagawin eh. Hindi lang po naman sila nagsusulat eh. Meron pa silang other things na gagawin. May project making, meron
Opo.
din silang role playing. Meron
Oho.
pa pong strategies i-employ other than writing lang ng LAS.
Opo. Sige ma'am, doon po sa sa aking pagkakaintindi yung laymanized kumbaga. So kung sakali ho meron silang 3 subjects sa isang araw, kumari lang po English, Math and Science, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. Ibig sabihin, 8 o'clock English, isang page. 9 o'clock Math, 1 hour isang page. Ganun po.
Yes,
Okay.
ganun po siya, sir.
Sige po. Ito po, mayroon pong comment dito. Department of Education will provide the LAS to those who will be implementing DLP. And the LAS for all grade levels for all subjects. So yun po. Maraming salamat po sa mga partners namin sa Department of Education, DepEd Sarangani at ang CVIF. Lalo na itong ating LAS as the main modality, lalo na sa makeup classes. Ma'am Amvi, ikaw ba na-experience mo na nung ginamit nyo ito sa UE, pag nagkaroon ng makeup classes, ano ba, madali ba siyang gamitin? Ano bang comfort yun na-experience nyo or paano nyo napabilis yung makeup classes dito?
Actually, Sir David, very thankful kami kay Gina Sir Bernido kasi nung dumating yung pandemic, di ba nagkaroon ng lockdown?
Okay.
Walang paano namin na ituturo sa mga bata yung lesson namin.
Mismo.
So yun, ang ginawa namin yun nga na since 2012 nag-aral na kami paano gumawa ng LAS.
Opo.
So
Opo.
nung ginawa namin nung sa pandemic noon, pinag-aralan namin yung tungkol sa Google Classroom kung paano kami mag-upload. So yun yung ginawa namin. Tapos nung nagkaroon na kami ng face-to-face classes, ayun na, binibigyan na namin sa kanila on-site.
Yeah.
Yung
So,
LAS nila. So
Yes, ma'am.
ngayon, even yung mga estudyante namin na halimbawa may training sila dahil mga athlete sila o kaya merong mga sinalihan na competition. So pagbalik nila, doon binibigay ng teacher yung LAS.
Okay, okay. So again, doon po sa mga eskwelahan nagagamit nito, kahit narinig ko sa video kanina, kahit wala daw internet muna, kung hindi available sa area, basta meron kayong kopya ng learning activity sheet, pwede na po itong gamitin ng mga bata na pwede nang basahin. Meron pong tanong dito, Ma'am Ampi, para sa lahat po ng nanonood at nakinig kasama natin mga delegates, meron po bang specific na provision ng bond papers or ng papel na gagamitin if we have 50 plus or more pupils po? Maybe si Director Mike can support us?
Yes.
Or si...
Yes, sige po. Maraming salamat. Magandang umaga po. Pagdating po sa ating bond papers, meron po tayo pag-uusapan po natin yung kung paano po yung funding po nito. So kumbaga, kung may existing funding po sa regions, we'll talk about that later, or kung may request po yung regions for additional funding po for implementation, pag-usapan din po natin mamaya. Tapos, I'll go with it na rin po. May tanong po dito kanina as to what about non-readers po. If I could explain a little bit lang po that technically, the good thing about the LAS is, as Ma'am P did talk about earlier, was it's also a diagnostic tool. So makikita po natin yung weaknesses po ng bata. Matatarget po natin kung aling mga bata po yung hindi po nakagets ng concept, and then we can trace back. And then one of the methods we'll be talking later on, dun po sa next steps as to what to do with DLP, is the conduct of learning recovery classes po. So later on po, pag-usapan po natin yan in more detail po.
Okay, siguro habang nandiyan si Director at saka si Ma'am Amfi, mayroong tanong po dito. Ano ang pinagkaiba nito sa ginagamit ng DepEd na ADM? Ano ang pinagkaiba nito ng DLP sa ADM? Kung kaya niyo pong masagot niyo.
I'll go ahead lang din po. With regards to that, I think what they're talking about was yung ating SLM po currently. So yung SLM po kasi natin, and I'm sure everyone's familiar, medyo mahaba po siya. Booklet po talaga, ilang pages yun. na talagang for let's say a week kailangan mong sagatan yung buong SLM. Yung kagandahan po dito sa LAS po, and I think Ma'am Ampi will second me in this, is talagang per concept po siya. So isang page lang po siya na kailangang isulat at sagutin ng bata per concept. Tapos yung sunod po na LAS, nakakonect po sa concept na yon. So imbes na isang buo siya na mahabang mahaba na sinasagutan ng bata, two core differences. Isa, one page per concept lang po siya, na one
Okay.
page per day. Secondly, ano po siya? Ano po yun, sorry? Sinusulat po talaga ng bata yung LAS na buo.
Okay.
Hindi lang po niya sinasagutan.
Oo,
Tama
so
ba?
kumbaga, Director, Ma'am Ampi, no, parang kumbaga sa isang linggo, imbis na booklet ang hawak ng teacher, ang hawak na siguro kung 5 araw, 5 pirasong papel per subject. Parang
Correct.
gano'n, ano?
Yes,
Tapos,
correct,
oo,
Sir
Ma'am Ampi,
David.
tama ba yung sabi ni Director din, ano, yung pagkaka-explain mo rin, ito'y kinokopya ng bata. So, hawak ko ang LAS, kung ako'y bata, ano, hawak ko ang LAS or nakikita ko sa blackboard, tapos
Yes.
kinokopya ko siya sa blankong papel. Ganun ba yun, Ma'am Ampi?
Yes, ganun po yung ginagawa nila. Kasi, ang gusto natin ma-develop natin dito, yung mastery of the concept. Kasi
Okay.
in writing po, nagkakaroon sila ng mastery ng concept. Gumagana po yung kanilang brain every time they write the concept notes. Doon nagkakaroon ng or nagpa-function yung brain natin. Di ba in-explain ko po kanina, talking, looking, listening, only a small portion of our brain is working. But once na binigay natin sa kanila yung activity sheet, titingnan, babasahin, uunawain, at isusulat, doon pa lang gagana yung brain natin. Kasi yung brain natin targeted yan eh. No?
Okay. Ma'am Ampi, may tanong dito. Tawagin ko siguro si M. Jane from SMART. Ito ba, regarding the curriculum, ano, naka-align po ba ito yung mga activities sa worksheet? Hi, M. Jane.
Hi, good morning po.
Definitely.
Yan, good morning po to everyone. I'm MJ Francisco. I head po yung mga programs natin on education sa PLDT and SMART. And kami po, we have been supporting dynamic learning program, sabi nga po ni Steph kanina, since 2010. So, makiki-chime in ako, lalo na po dun sa inquiry po kung naka-align po ba siya dun sa matatag curriculum. Yeah, oo. I understand kasi po yung, I don't want to preempt the presentation later, but the learning activity sheets will be provided by DepEd, as in kompleto po yan, all grade level, all subjects, and nagpapasalamat kami sa DepEd ang sisipag po nila Director Mick, ni ASEC MG, ni ASEC Garma, kasi they've been collating all the learning activity sheets na i-share po sa inyo. So, all these learning activity sheets are coming from, una sa Central Visayan Institute Foundation, no less than the late Maria Victoria Carpio Bernido and Dr. Chris Bernido wrote all those learning activity sheets, and plus, with the generosity of DepEd Sarangani, later, magpe-present din po sila, they will be sharing all their learning activity sheets. So yun, vetted na rin po ng region nila. When it comes to dun sa alignment ng matatag, I understand po kasi yung nag-full implementation is kinder grade 1 and grade 4 and 7. So yun po yung naka-align na. And then the rest po, since nagpa-pilot po nung 2, 3, 5, and 8, ina-align na rin po ng DepEd Sarangani. So napakasisipag po nila kasi continuous po sinasabayan nila yung implementation ng matatag to those grade levels. Thank you very much.
Ito naman, MJ, ano, tama ba, yung kapag nabigay naman to sa kanila, tama ba, meron ba silang freedom to somehow tweak? Of course, following yung strict na protocols, ano, na para lang akma dun sa learner. Ganun ba, halimbawa, nabanggit kanina, kung non-reader or OT pa lang, pwede bang igrupo yung mga bata, halimbawa, para mas matutukan sila?
Tama ka doon, David. And at the same time, since dito may mga regional, you can actually customize it na naka-localize according to your locality. But just the same, kasi nga ito, dahil kailangan ng immediate rollout, dahil doon sa ating mga estudyante, na lalo na doon sa mga Kristine-stricken areas, you can easily adopt and use the learning activity sheets po. Plug and play na po siya.
Yun,
Salamat po.
Meron tayong ilang questions dito. We have a few minutes left. CVIF-DLP, ito po ba'y pang makeup class lang o pwede rin siya sa regular class, Ampi?
Actually po, ginagamit po namin to every day. Hindi lang siya pang makeup classes. Kasi ito na yung means mo to teach the students. Ito yung mode of teaching mo to teach your students. Less intervention ng teacher, more activity for the students. Kasi
Okay.
ang dinedevelop mo nga, independent learner eh.
Oo.
Sige.
Kumbaga parang meron kang 200 school days, meron kang 200 na LAS, ano? Kasi daily mo gagamitin. Kung mawala yung ibang araw dahil sa class suspension or what, yun ang gagamitin mo pang make up. So parang naiurong mo lang yung kalendaryo mo. Tama po ba, Ma'am Abby?
Actually, hindi naman ganun karami yung magagawa ng mga bata kasi depende rin sa schedule eh.
Okay,
Kasi
sige po.
sabi ko nga, other than LAS, kasi baka ang thinking nila, ano ba ito? Sulat lang ng sulat? Hindi po. May other activities pa po ang mga bata.
Okay.
No? Kaya lang, yung delivery ng lesson, yung mismong lesson mo, yun nga, copying, yun, answering.
Thank you. Ang maganda rito, basta plug and play. Magagamit na
Yes.
agad sa mga ito pong naapektuhan ng
Yes.
ating pagbagyo, pagbaha. May isa pa akong question, can the CVIF-DLP cater to all different types of learners, taking in consideration that they have different learning styles, ma'am?
Yes, definitely. Yun nga eh, yun ang technique doon eh. Kailangan, ikaw mismo as a teacher, alam mo eh, know your students well. So you can design a you can have a well-designed LAS. No? Ikaw mismo, kilala mo yung mga estudyante mo. Sino ba yung average, sino ba yung academically challenged, and sino ba yung mga tinatawag na brilliant students.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Meron pong tanong dito, before I call MJ meron isang tanong dito. Can we also apply integrative assessment? For example, one LAS for ESM subjects instead of giving 3, use of math and science texts with reading comprehension activities as long as the learning competencies are aligned. Pwede po ba itong pang-assessment? Basta align sa competencies, Ma'am Abby?
Yes, definitely. Actually, dun pa lang, Sir David, pag binigay mo yung LAS sa mga bata, di ba sabi na introductory lecture, dun pa lang magkakaroon ka na ng assessment formative assessment sa mga bata. Makikita mo na kaagad how well they know your lesson, your subject, or the topic given.
Okay, sige po. Ito, invite ko ulit si MJ Director, invite ko si MJ. From Michael L, we are not on the same boat. Paano ang mga batang walang internet, gadget, load? Also, paano ang provision ng bond papers at data load for teachers? MJ, please.
Ayan, thank you very much. Later, again, magkakaroon tayo ng thorough discussion kung paano po pwedeng i-implement yung dynamic learning program sa inyo. Si DLP, napaka-inclusive niya in such a way na it can actually support learners dun sa mga merong devices and merong connectivity, pwede siyang online. Dun po sa mga challenge yung connectivity, meaning or limited ang connectivity, baka naman po may connectivity, it's just that hindi kayang mag-load, pwede pong i-maximize yung use ng Facebook. But for those na medyo talagang challenging area, and I understand some areas ngayon, lalo na we're looking at yung mga disaster-stricken areas, pwedeng i-implement ang dynamic learning program. As a matter of fact po, dun sa mga evacuation centers before, ini-implement siya. So magiging modular siya in such a way na nagpo-provide po yung teachers or yung school ng learning activity sheets to the students. Later, si Central Visayan Institute Foundation kung saan nagsimula ang DLP will share their narrative kung paano nila ginawa nung time ng pandemya ng modular. And then ang maganda rito, you have the support of DepEd. Ayan, binanggit ko na. Because I think they will be supporting in terms of providing yung provision for the printing or dun sa pagpo-provide ng learning activity sheets sa school at saka sa estudyante. So we hope you can stay with us up until later so you can gather more information how you can further implement this into your school po. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, MJ. Ma'am Abby, maganda kasi yun nga yung DLP o itong CVIF Dynamic Learning Program, ginawa talaga siya para sa mga ganitong sitwasyon. Alam mo, kung wala kang access sa libro, sa equipment, or kung mayroong mga pagkakasuspindi ng klase, tatakbo pa rin ang edukasyon ng maayos. Nabanggit mo kanina yung isang estudyante ninyo na kahit na ongoing yung kanyang sports training, tuloy-tuloy yung education niya. Kasi nga, tama ma'am, after ng pwede siyang gumawa ng activity sheet. Depende sa schedule na napag-agrihan nila ng teacher ng eskwelahan. Tama po?
Actually, ano nga dahil nga may Messenger tayo, may Google Classroom tayo, kahit hindi na mismo siya pumasok sa eskwelahan, isesend lang sa kanya, nagagawa niya. Pero pagbalik niya, kailangan dala niya yung hard copy. May
Okay.
hard copy siya. Basta meron siya nung blank LAS.
Mhm.
Kaya
Okay.
kahit nasa abroad ang bata, nasa probinsya, nasa bahay ang bata,
Mhm.
very flexible ang learning activity sheets.
Okay, we have time for two more questions. Para po sa mga nanonood dito sa Facebook at YouTube channel ng Department of Education and also sa PLDT and Smart, you may type your questions dyan sa comment section and then hahanapin po namin yon. Sa Zoom, pwede rin po kayo mag-chat ng inyong mga tanong. Ma'am Afi, ito bang LAS? Nagkakakalyo ba yung mga daliri ng mga bata pag sila'y kumukopya? Kasi ang dami nun, na-imagine ko, no?
Of course, dahil nga syempre from experience, no, sa umpisa, medyo syempre hindi naman sila sanay nagsusulat. Ang ginagawa lang kasi nila before, di ba, sabi ko nga, traditional, nakikinig lang. Pero
Mm.
kapag nag-start sila, pero na accustom sila, nasasanay sila, nagiging culture nila yung pagsusulat.
Oo. Ma'am Abby, bukod dun sa yung intellect nila, no, o yung knowledge na nakukuha nila, meron ka ba na-observe sa mga bata na gumagamit ng learning activity sheet? Paano ba nag-i-improve yung kanilang values, character, o discipline sa loob at sa labas ng eskwelahan?
Ay, grabe. Talagang makikita mo yung may impact sa discipline nila. Paano nila ingatan yung mga comprehensive portfolios nila. Ayaw nilang mag-absent.
Okay. Oh,
Because
really?
pag na-miss nila yung isang araw, isipin mo yon, may let's say 5 subjects yan, o di 5 subjects yung susulatin nila.
Oo.
Okay. In terms of attendance, walang nag-a-absent sa amin.
Okay.
Bihirang-bihira unless may sakit or emergency cases. Tapos yung pagiging nila, yung organized ba?
Oo.
Makikita mo paano nila ayusin yung kanilang mga LAS, ilalagay nila sa kanilang portfolio. Yun, na-develop sa kanila yon. Pagiging independent nila. Nakita namin yun yung impact na yun sa kanila ng DLP.
Opo, Ma'am Abby, very briefly, yung
Mhm.
final message mo, no? Anong encouragement yung pwede mong ibigay sa mga kapwa mo teachers na siguro ngayon yun nga nahihirapan dahil mayroong pagbagyo, anong hope yung pwede nating panghawakan?
Yan. So para po sa mga kababayan namin na naapektuhan ng bagyo, so hindi po ito yung katapusan. Tayo po ay may misyon, magpatuloy lamang po tayo sapagkat laging may pag-asa, laging may paraan. Ang kailangan lang po, bubuksan natin yung ating isip, yung ating puso para dito sa bagong programa na to at i-embrace, i-adapt po natin. Kung may kahirapan man, may pagsubok man, malalampasan po natin yan, sama-sama po tayo. At laging tandaan, meron po tayong makapangyarihang Diyos na laging gagabay sa ating lahat. So with that, maraming salamat po.
Ma'am Abby, maraming salamat. Idugtong ko na rin, sigurado po tayo sa DLP dahil 20 years na nga itong ini-implement na plug and play. At least makagamit tayo ng activity sheets na hinanda na ng inyong mga kapatid from other DepEd divisions. At yun na, ikasa natin dire-diretso, I'm sure makakahabol po ang ating mga bata. At di ba, baka nga malagpasan pa nila yung kanilang mga targets. At this point, we will jump to our second discussion. Let's further learn how we can operationalize the rollout of DLP in our schools, originating from the initial implementation site of the CVIF Dynamic Learning Program. Let us examine the CVIF Central Visayan Institute Foundation, how they successfully transitioned to home-based distance learning utilizing the LAS during the pandemic. This approach mirrors the educational strategies employed in response to various natural and human-induced disasters, including typhoons, heat waves, earthquakes, and local conflicts. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Ms. Julie Pearl Baha Aklan, Principal, Junior High School of the Central Visayan Institute Foundation. Julie.
Thank you, Sir David. Greetings from Hagna, Bohol. Maadjong adlaw sa tanan, or good morning, everyone. So I will be sharing the steps in implementing the CVIF-DLP learning activity sheets. These steps includes the preparation, distribution, and collection of the learning activity sheets. Kahit na medyo naka-recover na din tayong lahat sa pandemic, but ito po yung isi-share ko ay para na lang na makukunan yun ng idea what CVIF did during pandemic. And as we all know, CVIF-DLP is really designed to address class disruptions brought by natural disasters and other challenges along the way. And also CVIF-DLP is promoting independent, resource-efficient learning. Now, during the pandemic, we had two schedules for the distribution and collection of the CVIF-DLP learning activity sheets. We had Friday for the junior high school students and Monday for the senior high school department from 8 to 11:30 in the morning. Before classes started and before disseminating the schedule, CVIF conducted a survey. Based on the survey, only 6% of the students opted to online instructional mode. Therefore, the school continued to print, distribute, and collect the learning activity sheets at the designated drop-off stations in the different barangays in Hagna and to other neighboring towns in Hagna, like the towns of Garcia, Valencia, Duero, Gindulman, and among others, because we have also a lot of students coming from other towns, not just in Hagna. So these drop-off stations include barangay halls, chapels, LGU covered court, and other selected elementary schools. I would like also to mention that on September 21, 2020, the Department of Education announced its endorsement of the CVIF Dynamic Learning Program's Independent Learning Strategy as a flexible learning options, or FLO, in time for the education's new normal brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. To start with, so these are the steps in the preparation of the CVIF learning activity sheets. First, the teacher prepares a week's worth of CVIF-DLP learning activity sheets. A key component of CVIF-DLP is its self-directed learning activity sheets, which are aligned with learners' most essential learning competencies. In preparing the CVIF-DLP activity sheets, the expert teachers or the subject teachers checked if an LAS is missing based on the most essential learning competencies, or MELC LAS MAP. Now, if an old LAS is not suitable for pandemic situation or condition, then the teachers composed a new one and revised the LAS based on content, presentation, and formatting. We strongly discourage and avoid an LAS that requires regular grouping of students. Instead, we think of projects or strategies that are individualized. And also, we avoid an LAS that requiring students the use of dictionaries or references, or to search on the internet to answer questions, since this is unfair. This is unfair to many students who do not have dictionaries at home, to those students without phone signal or internet connectivity. But instead, the LAS was modified with a multiple choice type or true or false for vocabulary exercises in which students can choose the meaning from several terms. Second, the teacher prints the prepared CVIF-DLP learning activity sheets. For those LAS in which there are text, numbers, symbols, or figures in light-colored font, we darken them, as this will not show up clearly in Riso, and this will look faded and hard to see when reproduced in black and white using the Riso machine. So we use dark colors and thick lines to give a strong contrast with the background. Third, CVIF-DLP learning activity sheets are photocopied and reproduced according to the number of students per class. We had to risograph each learning activity sheet, and these LAS were reduced to 1/2 size such that 2 LAS are side by side on one printed page so we can save paper. Fourth, step 4 please. The teacher puts the reproduced CVIF-DLP learning activity sheets in a clear envelope for each student. It is one of the duties of the subject teachers to make sure that LAS for the week have been printed and included in the weekly distribution. Of course, the collation was then supervised by the principals. And each plastic envelope was labeled with student's name and section for efficient distribution at the designated drop-off stations. Fifth, the teacher puts the envelopes in bins that corresponds to pick-up points areas or drop-off stations. Now, the plastic envelopes that contain with the learning activity sheets with more or less 32 LAS per week, because we have 8 subjects times 4 LAS per subject. And these plastic envelopes were placed in a big plastic boxes that were brought to drop-off stations for distribution. Now, let's proceed to the distribution of the CVIF-DLP learning activity sheets. First, the parents or guardian, step 1, please. Parents or guardians proceed to their designated pickup station or area, following the schedule provided for the submission and pickup of CVIF-DLP learning activity sheets. As I mentioned earlier, we have 2 schedules for the 2 departments. Junior high school and senior high school departments has different schedule every Monday and Friday respectively, with 19 drop-off stations in the 4 towns, including Hagna. Second step, parents and guardians drop the accomplished CVIF-DLP learning activity sheets in the designated box per grade level and sign on the submission form. It was the duty of the subject teachers to monitor and check that each enrolled students received and returned the accomplished LAS on time, and note the cases why an LAS has not been returned. Third, parents or guardians retrieve a new batch of CVIF-DLP learning activity sheets good for 1 week and sign on the acknowledgement form. Now, the acknowledgement form here served as the attendance record for each class and subject area. Fourth, the teacher sorts the submitted CVIF-DLP learning activity sheets by grade level and then by subject for checking. In the CVIF-DLP, each LAS should be copied and handwritten by the students for deep learning and assessed by the expert teachers or subject teachers. So since teachers cannot lecture and cannot be physically present in students' home, we were adopting varied assessments and interventions for distance learning. For instance, some video lectures were posted on social media platforms, and the teachers prepared brief discussions and interventions for the LAS and aired over Radyo Natin. Radyo Natin is a local radio station in Hagna. And also, students were also allowed to write questions on the LAS, and teachers addressed those questions by writing back. So in this case, parent or guardian intervention is minimal. The role of the parents or facilitator or as facilitator is just to make sure that the students do the learning activities for the week. Now, let's watch a video of the actual implementation of the CVIF DLP in the new normal. Thank you po sa lahat na nakikinig.
Okay, maraming salamat po, Ma. Kamusta naman po kayo dyan sa Bohol, ano? I hope okay ang inyong implementation, patuloy. Ito po, para po sa mga gustong magtanong uli, ano? Open na po ang ating chat rooms dito sa Zoom, also comment section sa Facebook and sa YouTube. Para po meron kayong clarifications, you wanna double check something, pwede nyo na po kaming i-chat ngayon. Ma'am, napakaganda ng presentation mo, no? Kasi pinakita mo na kung ikaw ang writer ng learning activity sheet, dapat isipin mo yung pinaka mahirap na sitwasyon. Halimbawa, kung black and white lang ang
Yes.
pagpiprintan, ano? Yung paggamit ng lines mismo, sinasabi niyo, ma'am, dapat makapal ba yan? So, tama po, bilang writer ng LAS, inilalagay mo ang sarili mo doon sa shoes ng mga bata. Tama po ba? Bilang
Tama
reader.
po, tama po. Pati nga pa yung accuracy and age appropriateness dapat naka-align din po sa LAS na ginagawa ko.
Okay, oo. Kasi naalala ko kanina po sa unang discussion natin, mayroong mga nagtanong ano parang pwede ba nila halimbawa no kung may pagkakataon, pwede nilang i-tweak para ma-match doon sa mga learning competencies ng mga bata. Ganon din po ba yung halimbawa na practice ninyo sa CVIF?
Yes po, ni-revise po talaga yung mga old LAS para po ma-align sa MELC. Yun po ang
Okay. Oo. Kasi nagbabago-bago yung curriculum. Pero ma'am, ito pong learning activity sheet, ano, base ito sa curriculum natin at ano siya, no, kumbaga, it's a template. It's one way of teaching. Tama po ba?
Yes po, yes po. Dapat
Okay.
naka-align po lahat sa curriculum.
Oo,
Curriculum guide na provided by the Department of Education.
opo. Okay, tama po, ma'am. Sige ho, again, kung meron po kayong tanong, clarifications, please. Dito nyo lang po ibato sa amin sa Facebook and sa YouTube. Pwede kayong mag-comment dyan, and then sa ating Zoom, pwede rin kayong magtanong, mag-put ng inyong comments. Sige ma'am, halimbawa kung ako po'y walang pasok, paano nyo po ito ginawa noon? We wanna reiterate, ano? So, pwedeng online o pwede rin naman yung nabanggit nyo po sa barangay, tama po ba?
Yes po.
Mm-mm.
Kasi po, prior to implementing or disseminating the schedule, the CVIF conducted a survey. And based on the survey, only 6% of the total population talaga na opted to do the online learning mode. So yung ginagawa talaga namin na nag-isip kami kung paano namin ma-deliver. Kasi we have a lot of students coming from other towns, not just in Hagna. So yung ginagawa namin, in-identify talaga namin isa-isa. So saan silang saang barangay, saang town sa Bohol. So kumbaga kung sino yung may mga pinakamaraming enrollees dito na barangay, doon namin yung pinaka center point for the drop-off station. And of course with close coordination, kasi di ba pandemic yun, with close coordination with the health officers, barangay officials, and a lot of ginagawa po prior to that situation.
Opo. And I assume ma'am, naging successful naman yung implementation that time.
Yes po, sobrang successful kasi na-assess talaga. Kasi nagsusulat pa din eh. The learning continues at home. Kahit na may pandemic, may bagyo, or anong mga disaster na mga calamity na ano natin, na-continue pa rin ang learning. And vice versa, na-continue din yung communication between the teacher and the students based on the accomplished LAS.
Okay, good. I-invite ko lang ulit si Jane from PLDT and Smart. Jane, please join us dito sa discussion.
Ayan. Hi, good afternoon. Good morning again to everyone. Ay, siguro I'll build on dun sa binanggit ni Miss Pearl earlier, kasi syempre yung binanggit niya was in the context of pandemya, but that's not to say na kahit paano, kasi parang ganun din, not pandemic, of course, syempre hindi pandemya yung hinaharap natin, but every now and then bilang tayo nasa Pilipinas and geographically speaking, medyo tayo, melting pot ng maraming mga challenges.
Disasters,
Volcanic eruption, meron
earthquake.
Heat wave. I remember, di ba, nagkaroon din tayo ng challenges dun sa heat wave. So, I believe na yung scenario o yung implementation ng Central Visayan Institute Foundation actually can be replicated dun sa iba nating mga lugar, lalo na dun sa mga areas na medyo challenging. Again, babalik ako dun sa mga panahon na nagkakaroon ng mga evacuation centers. Yung pagde-deploy ng learning activity sheets ay nakakatulong to ensure that the students continue to learn.
Yeah.
At the same time, yung distribution naman can be strategically done sa school in coordination with the LGU. Maganda yung ginawa po ng CVIF kasi they work together with the LGU. Nagkaroon sila ng drop-off area, nagkaroon sila ng pick-up point, nagkaroon ng schedule. So baka that is something that we can also adopt and learn from. Thank you.
Thank you MJ for highlighting that. Kasi nung panahon ng pandemya, talaga namang super super restricted ang galaw. So this time, medyo kayang-kaya natin to. Kasi praktisado tayo year in, year out. Sabi nga ni MJ, may baha, may bagyo, may lindol, may heatwave pang kasama. So this time, of course, with the support of our government, and then nasa recovery phase na siguro yung ibang area, mas madali tayong makakagalaw, makakapag-deliver ng LAS halimbawa, or makakapag-distribute. Tanong ko lang, Ma'am Julie, kamusta ba yung collection ng LAS noon? Bale, nakukuha naman ng mga bata 100%, ganyan.
Yes po, 100%. Kasi weekly yung distribution and collection of the LAS. Bali, nagdi-distribute at the same time, nagko-collect na din ng mga accomplished LAS.
And then, anong comment nung siguro mga magulang, ma'am? Nung time na yon, mahirap ba? Madali? Ano pong nabanggit nila?
Meron namang mga ganun na may nagsabing nahirapan sila, madali lang sa kanila, pero we all know, wala kasing magagawa. As long as the target kasi natin is for their students or for their child that the learning continues even at home. Yun naman yung target eh.
Okay, thanks Ma'am Julie. Invite ko lang si Director Mike to join us in the discussion. I think meron siyang mga gusto i-share din. Director?
Actually, regarding we saw some of the questions kasi on the Facebook and the YouTube
Nice, please.
live stream. So first and foremost, the question was if there's a link available for the LASs. As you mentioned earlier, we'll be sharing the link to the LASs at the end of the session. So please, konting hintay lang po. Hang on there lang po. Magpapadala po namin yung link para ma-access niyo po yung mga LAS.
Yeah, I would like also to add yung regarding sa nila ma-access yung mga learning activity sheets. Actually, it is for free. They can visit the website CVIF-Bohol.com.
Thank you.
May portal doon, makikita nilang lahat ng mga LAS na per day, per week, per subject.
Okay, sige. Thank you. Director, may i-add po kayo?
Secondly, given the list of pilot schools, ano po yung gagawin sa mga not part ng pilot schools? So, it seems na may nakarinig na po na meron po tayong ipapilot ng mga pilot schools for DLP, for mainstreaming. Pero this isn't part of that po. So, kumbaga itong DLP po na ito, na-run natin ngayon, ay para lang po sa ating disaster hit areas po. So, for those Kristine hit areas and sa mga nakaraang mga bagyo sa taan na to, na apektado pa rin po, ito po ay irarun po itong DLP na to for those specific schools po. So yung usapin po ng mga pilot schools ay separate naman po. Ibang usapan po yun. And then third, yung dun sa delivery mode, bale modular synchronous po. Then 1 LAS a day, hindi po kaya ma-overwhelm ang mga bata. Lalo na kung marami ang subjects. Ito po yung kailangan po natin i-clarify. Mamaya po pag-uusapan po natin iba-ibang klaseng modes na pwede nating implement yung DLP. With regards to synchronous modular, not necessarily synchronous po. Katulad po ng sinabi ni Ma'am Pearl. Would you like to expound more, Ma'am Pearl, on that? Na yung ginawa ng pandemic ay hindi po synchronous. Tama po?
Yes po. They can still apply online for those with internet connectivity.
So yun po. So pwede naman pong gawing synchronous, but there is a way to do it asynchronous as well. So kumbaga, sinasagutan sa bahay yung mga LAS, tapos one possible mode na pag-uusapan po mamaya ay once a week lang po magkita sa classroom or sa temporary learning spaces, or ibabalik po yung corrected LAS. Tama po ba, Ma'am Pearl?
Yes po. Binabalik, ina-assess po, chine-check isa-isa sa subject teacher or what we call the expert teacher.
So those are just some of the methodologies po na pwede po nating gamitin. We'll talk about that more later on po pag pinag-usapan po natin yung next steps. Ayun po. Ito I think this is a very interesting question po, if I may bring it up na lang
Yes,
po.
please, Director.
Yung marami kasi bata na di kayang sagutin ng mga LAS alone. Mga parents din po minsan yung sumasagot ng mga modules. I think this is part of the discussion. If any one of our panel would like to speak on why it's important to do the handwriting or the handwritten aspect po.
Okay, Ma'am Julie, sige nga. Paano natin nasisiguro na bata ang nagsasagot ng mga activity sheets natin?
Yun na po kasi makikita natin mismo yung mga penmanship ng mga bata, 'di ba? Kung talagang yung teacher nag-check ng isa-isa sa LAS, nakikita na nila yung penmanship eh. Tapos yung role talaga sa parent or guardian during this scenario is just a facilitator. Now, there's no need to answer those questions na nasa content. So yung mga bata pwede naman nilang isulat. They could write their questions on the LAS, and then the teachers will address those questions by writing back. Or kailangan talaga nito na as a teacher, kailangan talaga na ikaw yung mag-discern kung ano yung saan sa mga LAS na need for explanations based on the performance of the students in accomplishing the LAS. Diba? So,
thank you. Thank you, Ma'am Julie. In short, sa mga teachers, dapat doble basa din tayo. Kung doble sulat yung ating mga bata para meron tayong proper intervention. MJ, please join us.
Yan, thank you, David. I'll just build on dun sa binanggit ni Miss Pearl, ano. Siguro, makikita natin kasi it's really writing and copying ng mga students. Sabihin natin, ako, magsusulat sila. It's really also to train them to be more resilient pagdating sa mga later on na pag-aaral nila. As a matter of fact po, may mga estudyante tayo na galing from DLP. Nung time na nag-college sila, hindi sila nasihirapan mag-research. Hindi sila nahirapan ng mga further studies kasi sanay sila. So having said that, paano kung halimbawa si ate ang sumusulat, si nanay, the teachers through the collated or compiled portfolio can actually validate kung sino ba talaga yung nagsulat. Maaring dun sa isang learning activity sheet, isang bata, pero that's not to say na buong learning activity sheet, siya at siya ang magsusulat nun. So dun papasok talaga po yung assessment ng mga teachers kasama dun sa assessment of how they are actually answering the activities on the learning activity sheets. If I may just bring in Miss Ampi. Miss Ampi, baka you might want to share more nuggets of wisdom, kumbaga para dun sa pagsusulat ng mga estudyante, yung integrity, nabibuild din yung integrity ng mga bata when it comes to writing their own learning activity sheets.
Yes, thank you, Miss MJ. Actually, number 1, kailangan orientation sa parents. Orientation. Bago po natin i-implement to, bago po tayo magbigay ng LAS sa mga bata, we need to have first orientation with the teachers, with the students, with the parents. Ano yung significance? Ano yung behind ng pagbibigay natin ng learning activity sheet? We don't just give binagsak sa atin, binigay sa atin, o sige, i-distribute na natin sa mga students natin. Hindi po ganun yun. Kailangan po muna ipaunawa sa mga magulang bakit ito ngayon ang ginagamit natin, yung alternative mode of delivery. Ngayon, sino katuwang natin? Sino ang suporta natin? Magulang. Kasi wala sa atin ang mga estudyante. Nasa bahay. So, kung sila mismo ito-tolerate nila yon, sila yung sasagot. Just like yung news about sa pagsagot sa module, parents ang sumasagot. Tapos eto na ulit tayo, gagamit tayo ng learning activity sheet. And 1 page lang po yun. Tama si Ma'am Pearl. Na-assess, nalalaman ng mga teacher kung diligently, faithfully, chine-check natin yung ating learning activity sheet. Nalalaman po namin kung sagot ba ng bata, ginugel ba ng bata, chinat GPT ba ng bata. Nalalaman namin. And pagdating na po sa discussion, nalalaman namin, na-assess namin kasi natatanong namin yung mga bata kung ano yung mga sinagot nila dun sa learning activity sheets nila pagbalik nila sa klase.
Thanks, Ma'am
from
Ampi. Ito
there,
po si MJ.
Ayan, thank you David, thank you Miss Ampi. Siguro again, babalik tayo dun sa ang pinaka main goal talaga natin is really to find ways to support yung and ensure the continuous learning po ng ating mga estudyante, lalo na in this trying time. So, we hope, of course, syempre with the guidance and the push of DepEd Central Office, proper explanation, and then the very, very quick implementation po nung pag-a-adapt ng learning activity sheets, we are hopeful na mas engaging at saka mas supportive yung mga parents natin on this. Sige, yun lang, David. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. We have a few minutes left para po sa mga tanong ninyo. Please isulat nyo dyan sa ating comment section or mag-react kayo dyan po sa ating Facebook page, YouTube channel, at saka dito po sa ating Zoom chat. Ma'am Julie, maibalik ko lang sa iyo ulit yung sa paggawa nitong LAS. Ma'am, talagang isang page lang siya. Ano bang font size nito kung sakali? Para lang, hindi man gagawin ito ng mga teachers natin sa ngayon, pero at least may idea sila paano ba alam mo yun, na brainstorm, na pag-isipang maigi itong learning activity sheet na 1 page.
Yes po, 1 page, 14 size yung font size. Yeah. Tapos,
Ibig sabihin na, ang onti lang na maisusulat ko, no? Tama ba?
Hindi. Kasi yung isang page ng LAS is good for 1 period per subject.
Period.
Yeah, talagang pinag-isipan yun bagong sinusulat.
So talagang praktisado na test ito ng maigi, na yun yung parang pinaka-ideal na na style halimbawa ng writing nitong LAS. Tapos ma'am, ano tayo no, mastery over coverage, tama po ba?
Yes
Parang
po,
kung
mastery, mastery.
paki-explain nga po yun further.
Yung habang yung mga bata nagsusulat everyday, na yung deep learning kasi andun yung habit forming everyday na nagsusulat kasi halimbawa ngayon the matatag curriculum has only 45 minutes. Tas yung mga old LAS namin is good for 1 hour. So yung ginagawa ng mga teachers is they have to assess each learning activity kung halimbawa ito ay hindi kailangan talaga ito in 2 sessions. So kailangan talaga na pag kinabukasan inaano pa rin pinapatuloy pa rin pinapatuloy yung LAS.
Opo, Ma'am Julie, as your final message, pakikwento naman ulit na very briefly, yung encourage natin yung mga kasamahan natin na mga kapwa guro from Department of Education, mga public schools in the northern area na na-hit ng Kristine. Ano yung maaasahan natin na makikita nila, ma-observe sa mga estudyante na development dito sa kanilang makeup classes?
Yes po. So sana pag kung may mga kailangan kayo ng mga tulong, halimbawa kung paano natin i-distribute ang mga LAS, mag-conduct tayo ng orientation sa parents para mas maintindihan nila at saka yun lang talaga yung importante, yung goal natin na mapagpatuloy pa rin ang learning kahit na anong disaster na kahit nga kami dito we're just a bit worried kasi palaging lumilindol. Kaya palagi kaming naka-back up if ever kung anong gagawin namin when yun. So kapit lang tayo, kung kailangan nyo ng help, you can reach out CVIF anytime. You can email us through Dr. Benido or us, the 2 principals.
Thank you, Ma'am Julie. Idagdag ko lang din, tulad ng sabi niya, i-reiterate ko ng experience ng pandemic, nakabangon ng maayos, magandang performance ng mga bata. Ngayon pong gagawin natin na makeup classes dito sa Typhoon Kristine, binaha, binagyo, kayang-kaya natin yun. Maraming salamat po. To further our discussion, as previously noted by Ma'am Stephanie Orlino, the CVIF Dynamic Learning Program has experienced substantial growth since its inception in 2002. The program has successfully trained approximately 16,000 educators and is currently being implemented in over 1,000 educational institutions. Let's get to know more about the stories of these implementers. Please welcome Ms. Donna Panes, CIDG Chief from DepEd Sarangani. Donna.
Good morning. Hello, everyone. I'd like to thank PLDT and SMART and DepEd Central Office for inviting me here to share our story about Dynamic Learning Program in the Division of Sarangani. It is really great to see you all of here. I am Donna Panes, the Chief of the Curriculum Implementation Division of the Division of Sarangani. Today, I'll be sharing to you our experience in the implementation of Dynamic Learning Program during the time of pandemic, stricken by heat index, flood, peace and order challenge, and even in the face-to-face modalities. Firstly, I would like to give you a brief background about Sarangani Province. I will tell you why did we embrace DLP in Sarangani, how did we start CVIF-DLP in Sarangani, how did we implement CVIF-DLP in Sarangani, and what are our innovations based on this program. And also, I'll be sharing to you what are the impacts of DLP in Sarangani and our ways forward. Firstly, I would like to give you a brief background about Sarangani. Aside from this province is the province of our famous boxer Manny Pacquiao, Sarangani is a showcase of cultural diversity and inclusivity, a haven where the indigenous peoples are not marginalized but are very much part of community building, policy making, and governance. Sarangani is located in the southernmost part mainland of Mindanao. It is one considered as the poorest provinces in the Philippines. It is predominantly inhabited by the indigenous peoples represented by 55% of its population. And there are three major tribes here, the Blaan, Tiboli, and Tagakaulo. We have a total of 325 schools, of which 220 have 90 to 100% indigenous peoples enrollment. Most of the indigenous people schools are located in far-flung and geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas with no electricity, no mobile signal, and no internet. In fact, ang pinakamalayo naming school ay kailangan mong tawirin ang 56 rivers bago mo maabot ang pinakamalayo naming school sa Glan, Sarangani. Now, I will share to you why did Sarangani embrace CVIF-DLP. Number one reason is because of language mismatch. Our teachers and our kinder to grade 3 students in IP schools are using materials in a mother tongue they don't know. Teachers do not speak the language of their learners. Number two reason, because of resource gap. There is a shortage of teaching and learning materials for our Muslim and IP students that match their culture, context, and language. Next reason is funding issue. We don't have enough money to provide our learning material per students. And last, logistic challenge. It is hard to deliver bulky learning resources to remote schools. Kailangan pa namin gumamit ng kabayo para ihaul ang mga maraming mga learning resources. So ito yung mga rason bakit nag-embrace kami ng CVIF-DLP. Next. Because of these reasons, next slide please. We partnered with PLDT Smart. They introduced to us the dynamic learning program. So with them, we were able to develop 2,500 learning activities for Blaan, Tagakaulo, and Tiboli learners of 7 pilot IP schools through series of intensive workshop sessions in 2017, participated by the IP teachers and IP leaders as validators. Wala pang pandemic sa panahon na ito. We also trained 60 teachers and honed DLP ambassadors to support iPad and Alive classes. From 7 pilot schools, we expanded to 45 IP schools in 2019. And we facilitated DepEd-led workshops to develop 5,600 contextualized learning activity sheets for K-3 IP learners across learning areas. During the pandemic, teachers and parents and learners face difficulties in implementing self-learning modules, especially dito sa Sarangani kasi nga, as I've said, napakalayo ng mga schools namin. Isa sa pinaka-issue namin dito ay ang howling ng SLM. Alam naman natin, ang SLM ay 32 pages. So 32 pages times number of students, yun ang ihahawl namin sa mga far-flung schools namin. Because of this, karoon kami ng meeting with the CID. We, as the CID chief, I instructed the education program supervisor, sabi ko, pakitingnan nyo daw kung makukover ba ng LAS ang competency per grade level. So nung matingnan nila ang LAS, sabi nila, ma'am, kayang-kaya lang. So we recommend the learning activity sheets to our superintendent. So good thing na support ito ng aming former SDS, Hildo Mosqueda. Ang sabi niya, sige, magkaroon tayo ng, gagamitin natin ang LAS instead of the LMS because of this reason. So we developed a total of 24,519 after that agreement. agreement, nag-develop kami ng 24,519 LAS from kinder to grade 12 in all learning areas with the assistance of the PLDT, of course. And nakuha din namin ang funding coming from DepEd na na-download sa amin. So from then, nagkaroon kami ng transition from self-learning modules to LAS during COVID-19 pandemic in 23 schools. So kung makikita natin from 7 schools, naging 45 schools, and naging full implementation na sa Division of Sarangani. On top of school-based printing, the Division Office also provided printed LAS to schools amounting to 26 million. Kasi nakikita namin, hindi naman lingid sa lahat na during pandemic nakikita natin ang mga teachers na sila ang nagpiprint ng mga SLMs. So may mga teachers na hindi natutulog, may teachers na nag-howl ng mga SLM. So ito yung mga nakikita namin na parang hindi talaga kakayanin ng Division of Sarangani. Plus, the resources, very short din ang resources when it comes to 1:1 SLM. So yun, nag-transition talaga kami from 7 to 323 schools, from SLM to learning activity sheets. So, we saved a total of 127 million kasi pag i-compute natin ang 1:1 SLM, magkakaroon talaga ng ilang million, no? So because of this, we saved almost 127 million from transitioning to LAS if we printed the SLM. So during the suspension of classes, due to high heat index, all schools in Sarangani utilized LAS for learning continuity. So last year, may mga series of suspension kami dito sa Sarangani because of the heat index. So yun, hindi kami nahihirapan because we already instructed our school to have a backup every grading period that in the event na may mga suspension of classes, may mga teachers na ginagamit na coach sa mga sports activity, sa journalism, so may iniiwan sila sa kanilang mga klase na learning activity sheets. So we also utilize Blaan and other mobile literacy apps developed in partnership with the Smart PLDT. Next slide. So may I share to you the impact of DLP in the Division of Sarangani. Division Office and schools have reduced reproduction costs. The delivery and retrieval of the less bulky LAS has become easier and done in a timely manner. Development of the LAS take lesser time, thus teachers have more time to develop other content for all learning areas. Monitoring and evaluating learners' performance using LAS is less taxing for teachers. Kasi nga, one page, one LAS, naroon na ang concept digest, automatic naroon na ang activity, at naroon na rin yung assessment. So at a glance, nakikita talaga ni teacher kung nakukuha ni bata or hindi. And readily available learning resources in times of distance learning and reduced number of non-readers, especially in far-flung schools, because we really attest na kapag sinusulat ni bata ang LAS, ay nagkakaroon talaga ng retention, at the same time nagkakaroon ng retention sa mind ng bata. Next, I would like to share also the impact of integrating DLP LAS in the indigenous people's education. Kasi dito naman talaga nag-umpisa ang LAS sa Division of Sarangani. Learners are more interested to learn because the materials are written in a language that is familiar to them. So aside sa LAS na i-share namin sa inyo, may mga LAS din kami na develop based sa languages ng Blaan, Tiboli at saka Taga-Kaulo. So ito ay magagamit din ito especially sa mga regions na maraming mga indigenous peoples na ma-contextualized ang mga available materials in the language of your learners. Good results of assessments because activities are simple, instructions and concepts are clear and concise. And also improvement in performance levels in learning areas as comprehension is achieved. And also language and culture are preserved and promoted. So there is community ownership of the program because their culture is integrated in the LAS. So aside sa general LAS na ginawa namin, may mga ginawa kami na mga contextualized, so hindi lang language ang na-preserve dito, but most especially the IKSP, the Indigenous Knowledge Systems and Practices of our indigenous peoples na napabilang sa Sarangani. And also, we find ownership din sa mga elders kasi we involve the elders in the development of LAS, especially in integrating the indigenous knowledge systems and practices. Okay, may I share to you the key performance indicators of the Division of Sarangani as we implement the CVIF-DLP. So makikita natin, increasing kami when it comes to participation, transition, completion, promotion rate from 2021 to 2023. So we will be sharing to you in fact, na-share na namin sa Central Office kagabi through Sir Michael ang learning activity sheets na Division of Sarangani. May mga katanungan kanina kung ito ba ay naka-align na sa matatag curriculum. Ang last ng Division of Sarangani, nagawa kasi ito during pandemic, so ito ay MELC-based. So ang ating mga grade levels na kinder, grade 1, grade 4, at saka grade 7, ito yung full implementation ng matatag curriculum ngayon, ay meron kaming na-develop dito na aligned sa matatag curriculum, pero ito ay interactive material. So nilagay namin ito sa LMS at saka nagagamit na rin ito ng aming division. So the rest of the grade levels na hindi pa matatag implementation ay naka-MELC-based siya. Of course, ang gumawa nito ay ang mga teachers natin. Dumaan din ito sa series of, dumaan din ito sa proseso ng LRMDS natin. Meron tayong development, meron tayong quality assurance, meron din tayong field testing bago ito siya nagamit ng aming division. So, may nakita din akong katanungan kanina about na sana ang last natin ay PISA-like test item din. So, we cannot really assure that all last ay naka-PISA-like na din kasi nga nagawa namin ito siya before pa na-introduce sa atin ang solo, no? But rest assured that ginawa namin ang lahat para somehow maipagpatuloy natin ang education despite sa mga challenges natin. So, supposedly, ang learning activity sheets ay ginagamit talaga sa mga independent learners. But in the Division of Sarangani, we innovate this. We develop from kinder, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 in a way na meron kaming parents orientation din na ginawa. In fact, nakipag-partner kami sa isa pang NGO para mag-fund sa amin para gawaan ng module, magsisilbing instruction sa mga parents o sa mga mag-a-assist sa mga learners kung paano itatawid ang learning activity sheets ng mga bata na hindi pa marunong bumasa. Okay. So, I also recommend, so may mga ways forward din kami dito sa Division of Sarangani. We continue to use LAS as supplementary materials. Ginagamit namin ito siya during hindi lang sa mga cancellation of classes, hindi lang sa kapag may activity si teacher sa labas like ginagawa siyang coach, kundi sa ginagamit naming supplementary material sa face-to-face learning modalities. And also, we continue with the development of contextualized class. In fact, next week, may alignment na naman kami nagagawin para sa mga grades 2, grade 5, grade 3, at saka grade 8 na alignment ng existing LAS sa matatag curriculum. And also, we have ongoing workshop session to enhance and digitize existing LAS embedded in the learning management system of DepEd. So, ang direction talaga namin ay ang lahat-lahat ng mga available na learning activity sheets ay i-align sa matatag and then i-digitized. So rest assured that the Division of Sarangani is very willing to share kung anong man meron kami. And also, paumanhin niyo po kapag may nakikita kayong mga mali, just inform us kasi nga hindi rin natin masyadong masigurado na perfect talaga yung mga nagawa namin. Basta kami, willing kami to share as long as nakakatulong ito sa inyo. So, yun lang. Maraming salamat.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Donna. It really takes a lot of courage, and kindness, to open your doors to your brothers and sisters in different public schools, para po makatulong na ma-improve yung learning ng mga bata, lalo na ng mga affected ng typhoon. And thank you so much. Very generous po itong ating mga friends from DepEd Sarangani. Now let's jump to another region as they share their DLP story. At this point, we would like to welcome Dr. John Franklin Dresser, Education Program Supervisor, Regional ALS Focal Person of DepEd Region 10. Doc?
Good morning, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, po.
Right, thank you. Again, good morning, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to share our one of our best practices in our region, which is the implementation of the DLP in ALS program across the Northern Mindanao. I would like also to thank our very own Regional Director, Dr. Arturo B. Bayukot, for allowing me to share this story of success as part of our commitment in delivering quality education to our learners, especially for those learners who are in challenge, particularly the ALS learners. Next slide, please. Para kanino nga ba ang ALS? Because the implementation of our DLP is focusing on alternative learning system. Sa ilalim po ng batas or Republic Act 11510, ang ating pong ALS program ay sadyang para sa out-of-school youth children in special cases, particularly yung mga kabataang Pilipino na ang edad ay dapat nasa paralan, subalit naka-enroll ng elementarya or high school sa formal school dahil sa mga balakid, pinansyal, physical, political, cultural, or panlipunan, or in geographical challenges areas natin ng mga learners. And also for adults, yung mga learners natin na mayroong edad 18 pataas, na hindi na makapag-umpisa or nakapagtapos ng elementarya or high school. At meron din tayo mga programa sa ALS. Our usual program natin sa ALS ay the Basic Literacy Program and the E&E Elementary and Secondary. Next slide, please. Ito po ang major initiative po ng Alternative Learning System ng Northern Mindanao. The implementation of the DLP or yung tinatawag namin na the development and implementation ng alternative learning activity sheets, paano nga ba nagumpisa yung pag-implementar namin ng learning activity sheets dito po sa region namin, kasi po may funds po na binaba sa amin or tinatawag namin na PSF for Alternative Learning System, for the travels and other support funds. At yung hindi namin na gamit na funds is we wrote a letter addressed to the USIC Annalyn Sevilla to use that funds in printing, and producing the learning activity sheets for the entire region. Next slide, please. And for the development of the CVIF-DLP LAS, so ito po, yung nagsimula po yung development namin. We started on 2020, kasagsagan po ng pandemic, because we believe that in delivering the distance learning, particularly in our alternative learning system, is talaga po nakakatulong yung learning activity sheets na pattern po sa DLP. So we developed these learning activity sheets. Ito po yung mga learning strands ng alternative learning system, kasi yung learning strand po kasi ng alternative learning system is different po sa subject, but still yung competency is aligned pa rin sa K-12. Ito po yung mga learning strand, the communication for learning strand 1, learning strand 2, the scientific and critical thinking skills, for learning strand 3, the mathematical and problem solving skills, For learning strand 4, the life and career skills, and learning strand 5, understanding self and the society, and the digital citizenship for learning strand 6. Ito po yung mga numbers mga number of last na develop namin or nagawa namin aligned with the DLP. So a total of meron po kaming na-develop na 1,015, no? 102 for the English. Pabalik po, ma'am. Okay po, thank you. 102 no for English, 107 for Filipino kasi dalawa yung sa communication sa LS1, English saka Filipino. And for the scientific critical thinking, 173. Mathematics or the mathematical problem solving skills, 248. Life and career skills, 81. Understanding the self and society, 207. 97 po sa digital citizenship. At ito po yung mga number of last or the last na nagawa namin is aligned po din po sa number of competencies or sa mga competencies na meron yung mga learning strand. Next slide please. And aside po sa learning strands, meron din tayong ALS life skills, no? ALS life skills na bago po sila pag-aralan ang ating mga learning strands, ito po yung mga dapat din matutunan ng ating mga ALS learners, no? The ALS life skills, the personal development, the interpersonal communication, leadership and teamwork, no, the habits, work habits, safety and health of worker, rights of responsibilities of worker and employers, financial fitness, exploring entrepreneurship, and civic engagement. So ang total po ng last na develop namin for ALS life skills ay 75. Next slide please. And for the printing po, so the moment na na-develop na po namin yung last, at dumaan rin po siya sa masusing evaluation at nag-refinement pa po at nag-refinement pa po bago namin ipininta ang aming mga last, no? So all of our division offices in DepEd Region 10 really utilize the last. So dito na po may mga, these are the samples po na mga schools division offices or community learning centers po na nag-post online ng updates on the printing of their activity sheets, no, or the last aligned with the DLP. Next slide please. And during po sa pandemic, no, even in the height of the pandemic, we distributed our activity learning sheets. No, we strategized the distribution of our learning activity sheets. No, meron pong may kukunin doon sa CLC or ihahati doon sa mga bahay-bahay ng mga learners natin. No, so pag printing, so we strategize also our distribution para talaga yung mga last ay umabot sa ating mga learners. Next slide please. The last on ALS implementation. Ito po example this is the example of our last. No, so we have the concept notes and the exercises. So make the lesson easy to understand. So we made our last align with the DLP na madaling maintindihan ng ating mga learners. No, kasi kung doon sa modules, one of the feedbacks of our learners, kasi sa modules maraming activities. Medyo nahihirapan daw intindihin yung nasa module, no, ayon sa ating mga learners. So that is why we really make our learning activity sheets easy to understand, no, na talagang maiintindihan at matutunan ng ating mga learners, and also offers flexible and independent learning yung activity sheets natin kasi pwede nilang sagutan kahit nasa bahay lang sila, no, pwede nilang sagutan kahit pagkatapos nilang magtrabaho, no, kung saan meron silang available time na sasagot sa ating mga exercises or mga tanong na nandoon sa ating learning activity sheets, no, maaari nilang gawin, no, kung meron silang time na hindi kailangan na doon talaga sa CLC or during the actual learning sessions. So it offers flexible and independent learning for our learners and also makes the lesson contextualized and localized. No, talaga yung mga examples namin dito sa learning activity sheets is kinontextualize talaga namin, particularly in the context of the Northern Mindanao, and also improves memory and retention skills to writing. Kasi yung printing po namin ng last ay binibigay namin sa learners at saka sinusulat nila sa ibang papel, no? So the moment they write, no, the moment they read and write or transfer, no, what's really in the activities in the activity sheets, no? So parang nare-retain one of the feedbacks of our learners, no, na nare-retain yung lessons, no? Madali nilang na-memorize kung ano yung topic or lessons na nandun sa learning activity sheets, and also achieve all learning competencies. Kasi one of the problems prior in the implementation of our learning activity sheets, one of the problems in alternative learning system is hindi na i-cater lahat ng competencies. No, kung module ang pagbabasihan, talagang may competencies na hindi natuturo, hindi nabibigay, hindi natatakol, or nakiskip yung competency. Pero dito sa aming learning activity sheets, talagang nakikater lahat ng competency. Kasi we also issue an issuance through a regional memorandum na talagang minomonitor weekly for example, this month will be the learning activity sheets 1 to 13. So dapat for example, LS1 1 to 13 for the month of, no? So talagang minomonitor na lahat na ba ng last na ibigay, nasagutan na ba ng mga learners. So this is one of the strength of our learning activity sheets, no, that achieve all the learning competencies in the alternative learning system, particularly in all the learning strands. Next slide, please. Okay po, aside po sa paper and pen, aside po sa printing materials ng ating learning activity sheets, we also converted what is in the last through a radio-based instruction and also TV-based instruction, no, particularly the SDO of Tangub City. No, so the activities or what is in the learning activity sheets, they converted into radio-based instruction. And for Lanao del Norte, they converted into TV-based instruction during the pandemic time. Take note, also this division utilizing this medium of instruction for their ALS learners. Next slide, please. No, they also converted the activity sheets or the lesson in the activity sheets into lesson script. No, just like division SDO Iligan, no, converted the activity sheets or the exercises in the activity sheets, no, into a lesson script, no, to make it on air. Next slide, please. And aside for the delivery of the DLP to our learners, no, we also conducted the training aligned or LAS-based training for our teachers, because we need to align with our Matatag agenda. So we need to give support to our teachers to teach better. So that they are well oriented on how to deliver the lesson, the learning activity sheets, no, or in the align with the DLP. So we conducted a training with the partnership of the USTP, or the University of Science and Technology of the Philippines. So we called it is a continuing professional learning course for alternative learning system 2.0 implementation or implementers. So we are now in our year 3 of this course, of this partnership, so that we really trained our teachers in the content, because it is very important, no, to deliver the lessons, no, with expertise, no, particularly in the DLP. So that is why, because we observed in the past years, some of our teachers or majority of our teachers, I mean, graduate of the DepEd, no? Ibig sabihin, mga elementary po sila, no, graduate ng Bachelor of Elementary Education. And they are catering not just elementary level of learners, but also junior high school. So mahirapan talaga sila sa content. So that is why we put into MOA with the USTP for their professors to train our teachers relative to the content, no? So para ma-upgrade o ma-upskill yung mga teachers natin sa pagde-deliver ng learning activity sheets or ng competency natin na nasa learning activity sheets through align with the DLP para sa ating mga ALS learners. Next slide, please. And also, our LAS helps pakipindot na lang po. Portfolio made easier po. So this, as we know, during the pandemic time, even up to this moment, so we are doing the portfolio assessment. No, so at the end of the school year, so we evaluate our learners using their portfolio or using the portfolio assessment. And in our region po, we release an issuance that quarterly we do portfolio assessment to really check the updates of our learners. And paano ko po nasabi na napadali po nito ang portfolio assessment? Because the content of their portfolio are mostly the learning activity sheets. So they are guided on what are the outputs or what are the content of their portfolio. So parang napapadali po kasi yung mga best last na lang po nila or need to improve na mga last ang nilalagay nila sa portfolio. From the first quarter up to the fourth quarter po. Next slide, please. And also, we conducted research relative to the implementation of the DLP in the Northern Mindanao. And these are the results, no? As we have 112 respondents. So with the statement, I regularly check the exercise as part of the learning activity sheets as formative assessment to gauge the progress of the ALS learners. And ang result po niyan ay 3.7 at ibig sabihin na strongly agree po yung mga teachers natin, no, na they regularly check the exercises, no, part of the learning activity sheets, no, to really enhance, to really improve, no, to really improve the performance our learners using the formative assessment. No, so yung last po natin ay nagagamit, no, it strengthen the formative assessment part of the assessment sa ating mga ALS learners. Next slide, please. Another statement po. No, I believe that the formative assessment through LAS, no, are essential for understanding the learning needs of my ALS learners. Again po, strongly agree po dyan yung mga teachers po natin dito sa Northern Mindanao. No, na yung formative assessment gamit yung LAS, no, ay importante talaga siya, no, para maintindihan ng mga learners natin ang lesson at matutunan nila ang mga competency, no, sa ating alternative learning system. Next slide, please. Another statement po from our research. Next, pabalik pa po. I believe that the formative assessment in LAS enhance the learning experiences for ALS. Still po, strongly agree yung mga teacher natin. No, na gamit yung LAS as a formative assessment na enhance ang learning experiences ng mga ALS learners natin. Next slide. And I would like also to give credits, no, the development of our DLP LAS in Northern Mindanao, as well as the strong implementation of the DLP LAS in our region through the effort of our former regional ALS focal person and also a DLP ambassador, Dr. Ray Butch Mahinay. Kasi siya po yung sinundan ko as the regional ALS focal person of DepEd Region 10. At siya po yung nanguna sa amin to implement because at that moment I was a division focal person. So, but still, kasi nakita ko po na talagang effective yung pag-implement ng DLP LAS sa aming region, talagang ipinagpatuloy po namin yung implementation. At kung meron mang revision na gagawin sa competency as well as sa curriculum ng ALS, ay still i-revise lang po namin yung LAS, but still we will use the LAS as one of our best initiative in the region. At again, yun lang po yung maraming salamat po for allowing me to share the success implementation of our DLP LAS in the Northern Mindanao, in the ALS program across the Northern Mindanao. Again, maraming salamat po at magandang buhay sa ating lahat.
Daghang salamat to our dedicated partners from DepEd Sarangani and DepEd Region 10 ALS. To conclude our discussion, we will now turn our attention to the actual implementation of DLP in your respective schools. The following segment will explore potential strategies and innovative approaches to address the challenges we've discussed. To guide us better, we now call on, again, Director Mike Kabawatan from the Office of the Secretary of the Department of Education. Director Mike?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Yeah, it's still morning. So I think this is where we discuss sort of where most of your questions lie actually. So how do we actually implement this in DepEd in the current situation? So next slide. Next slide, please. Yes. So again, just to give an introduction to everyone, the current drive for implementing DLP is specifically for disaster hit areas. This was brought about by Typhoon Kristine, which affected a lot, well, actually, most of Luzon, technically. And then, of course, there are also some previous storms that have also affected these regions over the past few months as well. So we decided to sort of talk to the regional directors of Region CAR 1, 2, 3, 4A, and 5 to check on the status. So how many classrooms have been affected, how many classes have not sort of restarted, how many schools have not reopened, how many divisions are affected. And we asked for sort of a list of divisions and schools who might benefit from implementing the DLP as a means of sort of two things we'll talk about later on: learning recovery and also for emergency implementation. So as per our report, so the modality of implementation of DLP in DepEd schools will depend on the region and division of the school. So you'll be given the flexibility as to what type of DLP you'll be implementing. We've talked about multiple methodologies over the past few hours, some of them through, for example, face-to-face modes as a means of learning recovery. Some of them are through online modes, so providing the LAS templates through Facebook Messenger or through email or through other LMSs, and then having the students submit it again through the LMS or through Facebook Messenger or other online means. We also talked about the mode that was done by the CVIF, wherein they were able to do drop-off points and pick-up points for the LASs, and some through ISOS or your in-school off-site modalities, wherein your students can actually come into the school to occupy temporary learning spaces or whatever classrooms are available only once a week, let's say, or a few times a week, so that we maximize the space that is available to our schools. So these are just some of the way it is implemented. We will give you that flexibility to decide for yourself, depending on what's best for your situation. Our only goal is to make sure that you implement the back to the previous slide, please. Our only previous slide, please. Yeah, so our only goal is to ensure that pillars of DLP are implemented properly. Just a few key notes before we move on the discussion. A lot of you are asking, for example, and a lot of you are affected by this. What about your non-independent learners? So your key stage 1, for example, where literacy and numeracy are still being developed. So again, first tenet, key stage 1 is prioritized for full in-person classes and the use of temporary learning spaces. So in schools, for example, that are partially wiped out or with classrooms in disrepair, we will prioritize key stage 1 for full in-person classes. And then we can implement DLP as a means for off-site classes or ISOS classes for the other key stages. So for key stage 2, then for the high school. Okay. Secondly, your CVIF-DLP shall be further integrated as a mainstream ADM in the upcoming ADM policy. Again, this is just an emergency response to Kristine and previous storms. We are going to run this with you guys with the available resources that we have. We will talk about the resource allocation later on, but we are very thankful to Ma'am Donna, for example, from SDO Sarangani, for providing us the learning activity sheets for K to 12, actually. And then also to CVIF, who did provide us the learning activity sheets for the secondary from grade 7 to 12 as well. So you will have a choice for those in the secondary schools at least as to which LAS to use. And then for the elementary, again, thank you SDO Sarangani for providing that. Those will be readily available and will be shared with you at the end of the session. But of course, the second part is there will be emergencies later on. There will be storms, there will be disasters, there will be situations where we will have to run this again. In those cases, we are already working on the ADM policy, along with the Bureau of Learning Delivery is already working on the ADM policy, and we are integrating the CVIF-DLP to ensure that it is one of the menu of interventions provided for ADM. Third, please remember to manage your stakeholders. The CVIF-DLP will need proper change management, but is based on sound scientific basis and the experience of multiple schools nationwide. Multiple times it was expressed earlier today that you have to orient those who need to be oriented. So parents need to be told why their children are answering the learning activity sheets. It's a huge change, but as was discussed earlier today, it is based on sound scientific theory as to learning. So as to one question, for example, earlier, what about the different learning styles? Well, technically speaking, the writing down is also a way of, again, was discussed earlier, it's a way for you to sort of retain that information, but also depending on the child, the writing down, the reading through it, the reading it aloud, already sort of tackles multiple types of learning already. So it, again, pushes for retention, multiple types of learning. It covers a lot of things as it is. So that's why we're pushing for this methodology early on. Next, please. So again, one of the first types of methodology or modalities of implementation is for makeup classes. So one modality, you can conduct makeup classes as soon as in-school classes are normalized using DLP-LAS. This can also be conducted in temporary learning spaces. So as mentioned earlier, for those of you that have classrooms or have returned to school already, or for those of you in temporary learning spaces, you can use the DLP-LAS as a means for catch-up for makeup classes. So whether these makeup classes are in the weekends or after school, you can already provide the learning activity sheets to your students for the classes that they missed or the subject matter that they missed, have them answer it, and then you check for those concepts that were not understood, and then you can provide input in the next session, for example, for let's say 15 to 20 minutes. So again, this saves you time by ensuring that your direct instructional time is very minimal, so 15 to 20 minutes, let's say. And then you already get to check on the level of understanding of your classes by looking at their answers in the LAS. So for those, for example, that don't meet the standard for the LAS at all, they don't know how to answer, again, LAS will serve as an assessment tool also, so you can move backwards. So is it the concept that they don't understand? You give them another LAS from a previous lesson. Is it more foundational knowledge that they don't understand? You go back. So is it reading in total? And in those cases, and I acknowledge the fact that there are non-readers out there, there are other interventions for those cases naman, which are going to be rolled out by the department soon as well. So that one way is to use this for makeup classes. The second, like I said, the LAS will serve as a diagnostic for concepts that are not understood by your students. And third, the LAS can be used to minimize instruction time. So you can concentrate on concepts that are not understood. So this is for makeup classes for those lessons that were missed during emergency situations or storms. In the instant case during Kristine, in future cases for any future lessons they may miss. Next. Another modality for implementation is to implement DLP-LAS, especially in schools that cannot conduct in-school classes or in cases of ensuing in-person class suspensions. So when there are class suspensions or for or rather schools that have not resumed normal classes, you can conduct LAS, DLP LAS as an ADM. So there are multiple ways you can do this, a lot of which we've talked about already previously. You can conduct fully remote, fully online learning through Facebook Messenger, through your groups, for example, through if there is an LMS that you're actively using in your division, for those divisions that do have an LMS. Other methodologies of cascading your learner activity sheets down to the students and then having them write it down on paper physically. Again, as discussed in the first presentation on the main tenets, is that they have to physically write it down and answer it themselves. So that is one methodology. And then the second, again, for that methodology as well, students can take a picture of their LAS completed as they wrote down and send it back. That is, again, just one methodology here. Another methodology is your drop-off pickup mode, similar to what CVIF did during the pandemic, wherein teachers, for example, in this case, it could be the school or any municipal building nearby, where the teachers can simply hand off the LAS for the week to their students, and then they will pick it up in the same area at the end of the week. And then the teachers can correct the LASs and then provide it back corrected or with notes to their students. This can be mixed with, for example, methodologies for online classes for the instruction time that's minimal already. Or later on, as in the third point, we can conduct in-school off-site modes. So one thing we can do is either remote sending of the LAS for them to complete or drop-off pickup of the LAS. And then once a week, they can use a temporary learning space or a classroom that is available in order for direct instruction. So again, the point of this is only the concepts that weren't understood by the class will be explained in this sort of minimized session. So you concentrate lang on what they didn't understand. And in those cases, you can see your students, let's say, once a week or twice a week or so. And in this way, you can maximize learning spaces, not in disrepair, and temporary learning spaces, because your students don't come in on a daily basis. So these are three possible modes that you can mix and match together in order to implement this for emergency situations. The whole point is you have your LAS. One LAS is 1 day's worth of subject, and it's usually one concept only. So as to, there was a question earlier that what if the concept is complex? Usually, complex concepts are broken down into multiple LASs over multiple days. So you have to answer LAS 1 first and then LAS 2, LAS 3 in order to get the whole concept. But it's broken down to make sure that it's just 1 day digestible. Okay, next. So next steps with regards to how to implement this. Like we said, we'll be giving you the flexibility how to implement it, the modality of implementing it. That will depend on your school, your SDO, your RO. This is to ensure that your context is taken into account and it is sort of, you have the decision as to how you're going to implement it, how best to implement this. Although we want you to know is that the LASs are available, you can run these and that you know how to sort of use this system based on the tenets provided in the first presentation and based on the experiences provided by our other speakers. So acquiring the learner activity sheets, we have existing LASs for Key Stage 1 to 4 from SDO Sarangani and LASs for Key Stage 3 and 4 from CVIF and OneDrive. We will be sharing that OneDrive link at the end of the activity, so you can tinker with all the LASs there. Please don't delete anything, but you can download them. You can see them there. Then decipher or figure out which LASs you can use as for the classes that you need to cascade in the current situation. Secondly, the cascading of the learner activity sheets. So your LASs will be cascaded based on your preferred mode of cascading. So again, you have access to the LAS already, so you can send the school or within your SDO or within your region as how you want to cascade this. So whether it is the in-school off-site mode, whether it is the fully online mode, because there are certain regions that have been provided for example, internet access and IT equipment that can allow for off-site modes. And then the third is how to implement the DLP. You will determine the mode of implementation, whether it's drop-off pickup or online, or determine based on the situation and implement as needed. And then the last is the monitoring and evaluation. We will be coordinating with your regions as to the implementation mode. So what modes did your schools decide to undertake, your STOs decide to undertake? And we will possibly reach out to some of you with regards to your practice and with regards to your experience in line with the current sort of work stream to integrate this with mainstream ADM modes in the ADM policy currently being drafted. And also, I did mention that we will be running a pilot for DLP, mainstream DLP, in certain SDOs. We will use the information that you will be providing us through our monitoring and evaluation to sort of design that policy and that pilot. So thank you very much for this. And we hope that this provides again, it's more cost efficient because there's a lot of your regions, for example, have SLMs printed out, but we heard that a lot of them were washed out by the storm as well. So this will provide you the same learning resources, except that it's less cost intensive. It's just, again, one sheet of paper per lesson. And then it's easier to cascade downwards. So as Ma'am Donna was saying, the LASs were much easier to bring to their far-flung areas than the SLMs that we currently have. Next. So with regards to your main question, saan manggagaling yung budget nito? Technically, the regions can use their unutilized FLO funding or your flexible learning options funding, or they can request for new funding. So what does that mean? We've asked the regions already what would be the specific amounts needed to implement LAS-DLP in affected areas. We are currently rather routing a policy that the FLO funding can be used for printing of the LASs. So once that is finally approved, that will mean that the regions can use existing FLO funds, if not yet fully utilized, to provide to the SDOs and the schools to print out your learning activity sheets. So the funding will come primarily from that. For those regions that have already fully utilized their FLO funds, they can request for additional funding, and funds will be downloaded from the central office. And then once funds are downloaded from the central office, the ROs and SDOs, you can start with the printing of the LASs and the cascading. So that would be our funding. So again, the DLP, I hope that everyone here sort of agrees with us that this is a good, cost-effective, scientific-based way of implementing sort of learning in self-directed learning, independent learning in emergency situations. So it is a very exciting sort of initiative, ADM initiative that we're looking to undertake. And we hope more than anything, it is useful for everyone here in order that our students don't fall lower into, again, learning poverty in that sense. Okay. That's it on my end. I think we'll be opening the floor to questions.
Yes, thank you, Director Michael. Para po doon sa mga may tanong, please type your questions dito sa ating chat box in Zoom or in YouTube and Facebook. You may comment your questions. Director Michael, paano ba to? Siguro magtanong muna ako. Pag meron silang mga immediate questions, dadaan muna sila sa division, sa RDO, or meron kayong sort of hotline na pwedeng ibigay sa kanila, ma-contact or ma-email?
They have my email in the memo that we cascaded. So you can ask, there have been teachers who have been asking already. But with regards to decision as to, for example, let me make this clear. We want to give you that flexibility to determine and discern for yourselves kasi. So kayo rin naman ang nakakaalam kung ano yung best methodology, best mechanism para sa inyo. So yung mga ganong katanungan, you can talk amongst yourselves. Talk to your school heads, talk to your division offices po. They would be best to answer those specific questions. Kasi context po yun. I wouldn't know the full context, or we in the central office, we don't know the full context of the schools po. So please, by all means po, you can talk amongst yourselves muna. And then if you have clarifications po further, please do not hesitate to contact us po. There's a question on YouTube asking paano yung funding. I-reiterate ko lang po na the FLO funding is the primary source. So we have the flexible learning options funding in the regional offices po. They're already collecting the budget necessary in order to implement this. If kulang pa po yung existing flexible learning options budget po nila, they'll be requesting po from the central office, and we'll be providing that funding naman po down the line.
Okay, thank you. Director, habang nag-iisip sila ng mga tanong, i-greet ko lang muna yung mga kasama natin dito, mga delegates from Leneng Elementary School, SDO Apayao Car, Santo Domingo Elementary School, SDO Ifugao, Laco Elementary School, SDO Apayao, Kalupaan Elementary School, SDO Ifugao Car, Biduan Elementary School, Cabugao District 2, SDO Apayao, San Isidro Elementary School, SDO Apayao, Caliat Integrated School, Cabugao District 2, SDO Apayao, Iapan Primary School, Cabugao District 1, Apayao, Division CAR, Laco Elementary School, Cabugao District 2, SDO Apayao, Sado Elementary School, SDO Benguet, Tulgao Elementary School, Tinglayan, SDO Kalinga, SDO Kalinga Eastern, Tanudan District, Pangol, Cluster of Schools. Thank you, ha? I hope okay naman po ang panahon dyan ngayon, I think meron pang mga pumapasok mga bagyo, pero we're with you. Patuloy po kami magdadasal para sa inyo. And ito nga, patuloy natin ipupush yung mga ganitong types of learning modes para makatulong naman sa education ng ating mga bata.
May mga question din po that I'm getting here. Ito.
Sige, Director.
So ito po, very interesting question. This is supposed to be for this afternoon for the high school session, but since it was asked already, I think Ma'am Pearl could actually excitedly answer this as well. Paano naman yung delivery sa TLE, for example, or TVL classes, like sa small metal arc welding? So, anyone po? Senior high school implementation? Or TVL implementation po?
Sina Miss Donna or may pwede mag-answer? Yes? Feel free to unmute your mics po sa ating mga resource speakers. Yes, Ma'am Donna.
Hello, sir. As regards to the implementation of TLE, may mga performance tasks tayo na pinapagawa sa mga bata. So, ito ay applicable lang kapag may internet si bata or kahit na offline, picturean niya lang yung performance task niya at saka yun ang isasubmit kay teacher. So, yun kasalukuyan ang ginagawa namin dito.
Ma'am Donna, i-follow up ko na rin. Halimbawa, wala talagang pagkakataon, walang phone pang picture or online pang send. Pwede bang isang tabi muna yon tapos ibang lessons mo na ang i-tackle nila?
Depende, sabi ni Sir Mike kanina, mas nakakaalam talaga ang school o teacher kung paano niya ito maitatawid. Pag medyo mahirap din, siguro magawaan ng paraan, siguro yung suggestion mo, sir, baka yun na rin yun.
Okay. Sige po. I think we have time for one more question, and then we can proceed with the conclusion of our program.
There's a current question in the chat group with regards, two questions actually, with regards to overtime pay for teachers who opt to conduct face-to-face during Saturdays. In those cases, there are existing DepEd orders. So there is DepEd order number 7, series 2024, which actually sort of defines what is allowable for overtime pay or overload pay rather. So we can be guided by that, and you can ask your SDOs, your school heads with regards to the implementation of the said policies. And then is there a link to be forwarded to access the LAS, particularly in K-6? Yes, it will be shared at the end of the session po, and you can download the files from there.
Okay, maraming salamat po. I think those are the questions na nakalap natin hanggang sa ngayon. Thank you so much. We hope that today's event helps you as you also adopt DLP in your schools, especially when you maximize the use of learning activity sheets. As we face new challenges, we invite everyone to be our ally, to share in our journey to transform the lives of Filipinos through education. Ito pong CVIF-DLP is a crisis resilient strategy that helps advance inclusive and equitable quality education amid classroom and teacher shortages and other crippling crises in the country. Ina-encourage po namin kayo ng mga fellow teachers and schools to attend our DLP workshops, which we regularly conduct. As a longtime partner of DLP, we have PLDT and SMART who help us organize this capacity building trainings. You may also reach us via our Facebook pages and contact details being flashed on screen. As for the readily available LAS or learning activity sheets which you may use, please watch out as DepEd Central Office shares the materials of Central Visayan Foundation and DepEd Sarangani, which they have curated for all grade levels for all subjects. Meanwhile, for our attendees who are also interested to roll out DLP in ALS, please directly coordinate with DepEd Central Office via the office of Dr. Mick Kabawata. As our program comes to a close, we would like again to thank everyone who attended today's session. Let's make a difference. Thank you for being part of this journey to ensure no learner is left behind. This has been your host, David. Take care and stay safe. Let's learn smart.
Tatalakayin natin sa videong ito ang mga paraan ng paggamit ng CVIF Dynamic Learning Program o DLP sa tatlong konteksto. Una, kung ang mga guro at mag-aaral ay may device at internet. Ikalawa, kung mayroon silang device ngunit limited lang ang internet. At ikatlo ay kung walang access sa device at internet. Kung may device at internet connection ang guro at ang estudyante. Step 1. Ipapadala ni teacher ang learning activity sheet kada linggo sa mag-aaral gamit ang email o Facebook Messenger o iba pang online platform gaya ng Google Classroom o Microsoft Teams. Step 2. Kokopyahin ng mag-aaral ang natanggap na learning activity sheet sa isang blank sheet of paper. Uunawain ang lesson for the day at sasagutang mag-isa ang required exercises. Ito ay dapat matapos ng mag-aaral sa loob ng takdang oras na nakalaan para sa subject na iyon. Step 3. Kukunan ng litrato ng mag-aaral ang natapos na learning activity sheet at ipapadala ito pabalik kay teacher gamit ang email o Facebook Messenger o iba pang online platform gaya ng Google Classroom o Microsoft Teams. Ang hard copies ng learning activity sheets na natapos ay dapat i-compile ng mag-aaral sa isang folder kada subject. Step 4. Kapag natanggap na ni teacher ang natapos na learning activity sheet, maaari na siyang mag-online discussion sa mga mag-aaral gamit ang Facebook o Zoom o iba pang online platforms upang i-process ang lesson na natutunan ng mga mag-aaral ng mag-isa. Kung may device pero limited ang internet connection ng mga guro at ng mga estudyante, ang ibig sabihin ng limited internet connection ay gumagamit ng mobile data kaya't di maaari ang full online classes. Step 1. Itatype ng teacher ang learning activity para sa Facebook Messenger at ipapadala ito sa mag-aaral. Sa paraang ito ay hindi mababawasan ang load ng teacher at mag-aaral. Step 2. Kokopyahin ng mag-aaral ang natanggap na learning activity sa isang blank sheet of paper. Uunawain ang lesson for the day at sasagutang mag-isa ang required exercises. Ito ay dapat matapos ng mag-aaral sa loob ng takdang oras na nakalaan para sa subject na iyon. Step 3. Itatype ng mag-aaral ang mga sagot sa exercises sa Facebook Messenger at ipapadala kay teacher. Ang hard copies ng learning activity sheets na natapos ay dapat i-compile ng mag-aaral sa isang folder kada subject. Step 4. Kapag natanggap na ni teacher ang sagot sa mga exercises para sa nakatakdang learning activity, maaari siyang mag-discuss sa mag-aaral gamit pa rin ang Facebook Messenger. Kung walang device at internet connection, Step 1. Ipiprint ng teacher ang mga learning activity sheets para sa isang linggo at ipapadala ang hard copy sa mag-aaral. Ito ay maaaring kunin ng mga magulang sa paaralan o di kaya sa tulong ng barangay ay ide-deliver ito sa kanilang bahay. Step 2. Kokopyahin ng mag-aaral ang natanggap na learning activity sa isang blank sheet of paper. Uunawain ang lesson for the day at sasagutang mag-isa ang required exercises. Ito ay dapat matapos ng mag-aaral sa loob ng takdang oras na nakalaan para sa subject na iyon. Step 3. Iko-compile ng mag-aaral ang mga natapos na learning activity sheets sa isang folder kada subject. Step 4. Sa tulong ng mga magulang o ng barangay, ibabalik sa teacher kada linggo ang mga natapos na learning activity sheets ng mag-aaral at papalitan ito ng mga bagong learning activity sheets para sa susunod na linggo. Kahit walang teacher intervention, may matututunan ang mag-aaral basta't ginagawa niya ang mga learning activities na nakatakda. Ang CVIF Dynamic Learning Program o DLP ay maaaring gamiting pamamaraan ng pagtuturo kung may device at internet, kung may device pero limited ang internet, at kahit walang device o internet. Para sa karagdagang impormasyon sa CVIF Dynamic Learning Program, bisitahin lamang ang dlp.ph na website o hanapin lang ang Dynamic Learning Program sa Facebook o magpadala ng email sa learnsmart@smart.com.ph.